to the public ledger building. As soon as I walk into the area where they had the results of the bar exam, there was a clerk, a female clerk, and she was sitting at the lobby desk. And all she did was point to the wall. She didn't say anything because I guess all these black kids and white kids and other kids were coming in all nervous, and she wasn't telling them anything. She was pointing to the wall. And when I went to the wall, it was really weird because I looked at the names. They were all in alphabetical order, but strangely, it wasn't my name that I saw. It was my address. And when I saw my street, I was like, I think that's me. And I moved my finger over. My name was there, and I was there for an attorney. And all that's because of Senator Hardy Williams. And from there, everything that I am came from him. So I'm going to talk more about him. We're going to have some elected officials saying happy birthday. But for me, and I am getting choked up, I really am. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about him, but I'm really, really about to embarrass myself. So let's go to the phone lines. We got Harvey in West Philly. We got Razakhan in West Philly. Let's start off with Harvey in West Philly. Harvey, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
Good morning. So nice to hear your voice.
Thank you very much.
This is Harvey Lunner, known as Pastor Lunner, over 35 years in the Frankfurt section of the city. I'm living in West Philly now. Terrible thing happened. I'm 82 years old. The sheriff came to the house 4/8/21. Last Thursday, early 2 o'clock in the morning, and they bang on the door, and they said they had a warrant. I've been clean all my life. I'm Harvey Lunner, and I love people. I'm a minister. Me and the wife, we were upset, and it took a while till I came down and I saw who were out there banging on the door. And then I went back up to the wife. Then she called the police on the police. And she wouldn't let me open the door until another police come up. So he came up, and I let him in the house. It was about 6, 7, I think about 8 of them all in together. Because it was from 2 o'clock to about 2:33 when they left. And so I really I feel upset, and I feel wounded, I feel beat, and isn't anything that can do to compensate me for my hurt. I am sick. I have diabetes. My wife has diabetes, suffer with asthma, and she got a bad stomach. And this is tore us all to pieces. At 82, 62 years in Philadelphia, I never had no trouble with the law or nothing. And then they came and they banged on that door. I wasn't expecting that at my age.
Well, let me say this, sir. I'm so glad that you are alive to talk about it. Let me just say that, because when it comes to law enforcement and black people, the victory is being able to walk away alive. So I'm glad that you're here to talk to us on the phone. What I'd like you to do, sir, is this. I need you to give me a call, because I don't want to get into any more detail in public over the radio airwaves about your case, but I'm chomping at the bit to help you. And by the way, before I even tell you what I'm going to do for you, those of you who have questions about anything of a legal nature. Now, I'm sitting in today for my good friend Charles Ellison, who hosts the great show Reality Check, but I'm also an attorney. So I'm here to do what Pastor Harvey called for, to give legal advice. It could be criminal law, it could be civil law, it could be family law, it could be administrative law or estates law, it could be real estate law, it could be tax law, it could be parking law, any type of law. Thanks to the vision of Dr. Walter P. Lomax Jr., he said, hey, Michael X., you do your angry black man thing, you do your Johnny Cochran thing, do it for the people here at WRD, and that's what I'm here for. So if folks want legal advice on anything and everything I just mentioned, give us a call here at 215-634-8065, 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. Once again, 866-361-0900. Pastor Harvey, do this. Give me a call at 215-552-8751. That's 215-552-8751. And you sound like a young man. You said you're 82, but you sound like a young man, so I'm sure you do the emailing thing. If you email me the specifics of what happened, I can get to you quicker.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not in that computer stuff yet.
Well, don't worry about it, sir. Don't worry about it. In that case, give me a call, 215-552-8751. 8751. And when you call, make sure you leave your full name, make sure you leave your phone number, and just on that voicemail message, mention that you spoke with me today, Wednesday, April 14. Once again, 215-552-8751. I will be happy to help you, sir. Is there anything else you need from me or WRD right now? And if so, let me know, and I'll be happy to assist you.
No, I'm a type of person spreading love. Try to have some. We need to get some love back where we used to be.
Very well said. Pastor Harvey, thank you for the call. Please call me. I'll be happy to assist you. And when I said that I'm ecstatic that you're alive to talk about an encounter with law enforcement, I wasn't joking. I meant that, because cops kill black people. Sir, thank you very much. Let's keep things moving. I believe we have Razakan from West Philly who has a question or a comment. Razakan, how can we help you? How can you help us?
Thanks, Mike, for accepting the call.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I have a problem with the tax people.
Okay.
Home taxes. Now, I done been down to their office 3 times. Every time I go down there, they moved the goalposts. They told me I didn't pay my taxes in 2019. I showed them that I had receipts for 2019. They looked into the records and said, oh, no, that's not 2019, it's 2018. But first of all, I had to go to the bank to get photocopies of the checks, because nowadays, you just don't get, they don't come back like they used to. The bank has all that. So I went down there, got all of that, and then they tell me, no, it wasn't 2019, it was 2018. Woo. So I showed them the receipt for 2018. And then, oh, no, it's not 2018, it's 2017. What I want to know is, where do I go? Who can I see? Or whatever the case may be to straighten this out.
Great question. I hope you got a pen and a pad. I have a great friend who's a great tax attorney. As a matter of fact, she has an MBA in taxation in addition to being a lawyer. Her name is Sharon Wilson, attorney Sharon Wilson. Make sure you tell attorney Sharon Wilson that you got her name and number from me at WRD, and her number is 215-985-4566. That's 215-985-4566. Make sure you tell her that you spoke with me, because then she'll give you free legal advice over the phone.
Okay, you said 215-985-4566.
That's it, yes.
Okay, that's basically what I want, because I'm getting really frustrated with these people. And then I wonder how old folks, because I'm in my late 70s, how old folks lose their property. They put me in custody for $20.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
and
I know exactly.
If I wasn't right on top of this, I might have lost my house for $20.
Woo! That's real talk. That is real talk. Razakan, thanks for the call. And let me just say this to you,
Mike,
public.
thank you.
Before you hang up, don't hang up yet.
Okay.
Man, I know you're not a lawyer, but you think analytically like a lawyer. And some of the stuff that I saw that you wrote, not only about Mumia, but also about the need to support Larry Krasner, even though we don't see eye to eye with him on 100% of the stuff, but we know that somebody's going to be the DA. Do you want Larry Krasner, or do you want to throw back to Seth Williams? Or do you want to throw back to Tulin Abraham? Do you want a Carlos Vega? Do you want a Chuck Peruto, who the FOP love? So because the FOP hates Krasner and loves the other two guys, I'm supporting Krasner. And this is not WRD talking. This is me, Michael Cord, talking. But I want to give you a shout out, because I know you've taken a similar position, that you don't agree with Krasner and everything, but you're looking at the big picture.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I don't want no favors from him. All I ask him is to follow the law, and that's what he's trying to do.
I love it. Well said, Razakan. And everybody know you got street cred from behind the bars and on the street. Nobody can say that you're a sellout. Otherwise, you could show them your resume. And it's a strong hood type, jail type, people type resume. Thanks for what you do, man.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Folks, we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. WURD 96.1 FM.
We are people of resilience, so let's protect our lives with vaccines we can trust. We can do this.
To learn more about COVID-19 vaccines, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Germantown Friends School mission begins with a commitment to community and to the belief that academic achievement is in itself not enough. Inspired by Quaker values, GFS encourages students in preschool through grade 12 to see the world as theirs to experience, to understand, to create, and to change. Learn more about the GFS academic, arts, and athletics programs at their upcoming virtual open house, Friday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Register now at germantownfriends.org/admissions.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
Yep, that is correct. This is Black Talk Media. And by the way, this is yours truly, Attorney Michael Cord, a.k.a. Michael X, a.k.a. the angriest black man in America. I normally do my thing every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. here at WURD 96.1 FM. But one of the great hosts, and I say great host, I really mean that, because Charles Ellison, he is, like everybody else at WRD host show, I mean, really meticulous in what they do. The thing I really love about what Charles does is that he does what we call a deep dive. In other words, he'll take a topic and research it thoroughly and deeply, and then explain it thoroughly and deeply. That's why we call it a deep dive, and he's really remarkable for that. So big shout out to Reality Check host Charles Ellison. He'll be back in due course. Of course, you know, he's always doing stuff with the people and doing stuff right now, which is why he can't be here, but he will be back in due course. Folks, as I said, I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about. One of the major things for me is to talk about the great, and I do mean the great, Senator Hardy Williams. Today is his birthday. He was born April 14, 1931, which means it's his 90th birthday, and he's important to me. And I had to stop talking about him earlier because I was actually getting choked up, and that would have really been embarrassing for the angriest black man in America to be crying for the whole world to see. I mean, when I say see, I mean see, because it's on Facebook and it's on YouTube and it's Twitch. So I'm going to try to maintain my composure. But happy 90th birthday to one of the most uncompromisingly pro-black state legislators in Pennsylvania history. Senator Hardy Williams, born April 14, 1931, became a revered ancestor January 7, 2010. Those of you who want to get in, call in. We'll get everybody in. The numbers are 215-634-8065, 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. That's 866-361-0900. And by the way, folks, what I want to talk about is, I know people say reform the police, and that's cool, but I got a different phrase called transform the police. And I'll explain to you what I mean by transform as opposed to reform. I'll get to that. I got about 7, 8 topics I want to get to. That's one. The other is the happy birthday, happy 90th birthday to Senator Hardy Williams. In addition, I'm going to talk about Cheney. Yep, Cheney University, my historic alma mater. Do you know that we are blowing up? When I say blowing up, I mean in a positive way. There's such great things happening at Cheney University now that people are fighting to get in, and we can't let everybody in. Think about that. It was one time where Cheney was begging people to come in, people who barely graduated from high school, people who barely had GEDs. Now, for you to get the type of free education available for bright students, there's a line around the block for people trying to get into Cheney. I'm going to tell you some great stuff about Cheney. In addition, I'm going to talk about some lawyers. You're not going to hear me mention their name, but you're going to know who I'm talking about. I call them vultures and vampires. You know, a vulture is that bird that circles around in the sky waiting for some animal to be injured and some animal dying or some animal dead, and the vulture swoops right down. And the vampires simply lurk in the shadows and then jump on an unsuspecting person and suck the blood out of them. In addition to vultures and vampires, there's also parasites. Parasites are like ticks. They latch onto something, they just suck the blood out. Well, there are many black lawyers today who are just that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that those black lawyers shouldn't make their money. They should, like everybody else. But Charles Hamilton Houston, who was the dean of Howard Law School, who was the architect behind the civil rights litigation of the 1950s, who was the mentor to Thurgood Marshall, Charles Hamilton Houston said that a lawyer, specifically a black lawyer, is either a social engineer or a parasite on society. And some of these lawyers, I never see them holding press conferences to arm the masses with preemptive information to avoid being brutalized. These lawyers simply wait until a black person is killed or beaten down, and then they swoop in and they settle the case, but they seek no reform in police misconduct. They seek no transformation in police misconduct. They simply get their 40% and get out of there. You never see them before the unrest. You never see them after the unrest. That's why they're vultures. That's why they're vampires. And that's why they're parasites. Hold a damn press conference for a free law class in the community. Don't wait. In fact, these lawyers are what I call death merchants. These lawyers are what I call people who commodify Black death. When I say people who commodify Black death, I mean you make your money every time a Black person gets killed by a cop. That's not a life to have. You got to make sure you force the police, not just the city to pay some money, but force changes in police behavior. Stop them from using tasers. Stop them from using pepper spray. Stop them from pulling out their guns. Force them to de-escalate, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, let me calm down. We got a lot of things to talk about. That's number 5, the vultures and vampires who pretend to be Black lawyers. Also, I want to talk about Dante, who was murdered, and why that was no accident. It was either a murder or manslaughter, but it wasn't an accident because there's no such thing as accidents in criminal law. Let me repeat that. In the criminal law, there's no such thing as an accident. It's either a malicious act, which means malice, which means you intentionally did it to hurt somebody. That's malice. Or it's recklessness, which means you weren't trying to hit that little kid in the street with your car, but you were blasting your music, you were reaching for a CD, you were smoking a cigarette, and you were talking on the phone, and you didn't see the kid, so you hit the kid. Well, you didn't mean to do it. But in the criminal law, that's not an accident. That's a reckless act for which you go to prison. So it's either malicious, which means you did it with an evil intent, or it's recklessness, which means you were extremely negligent. So when you hear the media and the cops talking about accident, whew, I almost cursed. No such thing as accidents in criminal law. It's either malice or recklessness. Let's keep things moving. First of all, big shout out to the first callers. We had Pastor Harvey, we had Razakhan. Now we got Jim in West Philly and Malik in Mount Airy. Let's go to West Philly and talk to Jim first. Jim, how are you today?
I'm fine, Michael, and I wanted to relate to you about Hardy Williams.
Yes, please, take your time.
Well, I actually worked with Hardy. He was a good friend. I was introduced to him by Maxine Watley years ago.
Yes,
she was an entrepreneur. Okay. And we worked on his on his Senate campaign over that office you're talking about on Walnut Street. That was actually 5100 block. It was the old telephone building.
Thank you very much. In fact, that big white building. Yes, yes, yes. What was that, 51st Street, did you say?
It's 5100 block of Walnut Street.
Man, it's been about 30 years. I couldn't remember, but thank you very much.
I'll tell you exactly how long it's been. It's been 39 years because my son was born during the campaign and all. He was the campaign baby. He now will turn 39 on the 20th of this month.
Jim, and keep talking. I'm going to make you the co-host today because you've given us some information. Keep talking.
Yeah, he was my son. Also, he attended Cheney for a couple of years.
Yep.
Today he has a master's from Drexel in biomedical engineering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. I love it. Keep talking.
I had the pleasure of sitting in that auditorium like a lump of coal in a snowfield when his name was announced in that stage as, for his master's degree. So you cannot imagine the feeling knowing how hard he worked to get
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes, sir.
But Hardy, we got to also talk about Hardy when he was running for mayor, the how he started so much in the city and everything.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so I remember him from, I grew up around him. He, you know, just knowing Hardy Williams and all. He was a great person, like you say.
And let me just say this, Jim, before you continue, I want folks to understand what Jim is talking about. I want people to understand what I'm talking about. So this is what I want you all to do. I wrote a powerful article celebrating his birthday, his 87th birthday, 3 years ago. So I need people to go to phillytrib.com. That's Philly, P-H-I-L-L-Y, Trib, T-R-I-B, phillytrib.com. Once you get to that website, type in CORD, C-O-A-R-D, and Hardy, H-A-R-D-Y, and you'll see an article from April 14, 2018. April 14, 2018, and you'll see all the great things about this great man. Go ahead, Jim. Finish your point, sir.
Oh, that was basically it. That, you know, I had the pleasure of actually knowing him, and when you speak of what he did for you, that's Hardy. I mean, he had that. He had that concern and care about people.
And I didn't even live in his district. He didn't even know anything about me.
No, but I mean, he saw greatness.
Ooh, ooh.
You know,
Jim, you made my day.
He found the reason to. He saw that in you. He had the vision, and the proof is today. So you know. That's why we got to honor our ancestors, listen to the people who've been here before. Yes. I mean, you got so many young people out here, they talk about riding out. They don't know what a peaceful picket or demonstration is and what we accomplished with that in the city. I've been on many picket lines. I've been locked up with Milton Street and Dave Richardson before for protesting when they were trying to purge the voter rolls back years ago. If you hadn't voted, they were trying to take you off after 2 years. All of that stuff that's happened in the city. But I listen to you a lot. I don't call much. I just love your information also. Keep on. You've been a real all-star this last week. I heard more Michael than I heard in a year.
I hear you. I hear you. Jim, thanks for the call. And more important, man, thanks for your insight about the real great Hardy Williams. We appreciate that. Thank you. And folks, as I pointed out, if you want to check out that article, go to phillytrib.com, type in CORD, C-O-A-R-D, type in Hardy, H-A-R-D-Y. That article was published on April 14, 2018. Before we get to our next caller, Malik, let me just read the first few sentences of the article. It says, happy 87th birthday to the late Hardy Williams, because it was written 3 years ago in 2018. It goes like this. Hardy Williams, the consummate pro-black independent political insider and outsider, was born 87 years ago on April 14, 1931. Obviously, that's 90 years ago now. He began his legislative career as a state representative in 1971 and served impressively for 11 years, immediately after which he was elected state senator, a position he held for 15 productive years. And I got much more to share with you about that. Let's go to Malik. Malik, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
First, I want to say Hardy Williams, Ashe.
Well said. Very well said.
I want to thank that jewel for finding the pretty much solid carbon that was shaped into the diamond that we have today. Because
I certainly appreciate that.
An eye of a real jeweler is a real diamond. And you know what? Like you said, he didn't have to give you a chance. He didn't have to.
Absolutely.
Look, you could have been another resume that went across his desk.
Yep.
And you know what? As they say, put that in file 13.
Whoa. Amen.
Let's just say if he had the mindset of the FOP, we give you a shot. If he had the mindset of a Lynn Abraham, he'd give you a shot. If he had the mindset of, and you can say whatever you want to say, but it's a couple former mayors that would have never gave Michael Cord a kid from North Philadelphia shot. All right, let's break it down. Imagine just for a second all the people that he's touched through you.
Pass it on. Pass it on. Okay.
That imagine all the people that would have been sitting and rotting in jail if I don't give Michael Cord this opportunity to be pretty much. You're gonna be my understudy for right now. But you know,
and let me say this, Malik, before you go on. You are so right, because one of the first cases Senator, then State Rep Hardy Williams assigned me to after I passed the bar exam. It was a gentleman, an elderly gentleman who was homeless. And the elderly gentleman went into a local supermarket and stole some food to eat. And as he was walking out of the supermarket, security guard tried to stop him. He pulls out a box cutter. He didn't wave, he just pulled. Anyway, police called the guy. Everybody knew him from the neighborhood, homeless guy. Do you know that Senator, then State Rep Hardy Williams, assigned me to represent that guy pro bono because he was a treasure in the community, this elderly homeless man was, and I represented him. We got the case dismissed. The only thing that the judge ordered is that the gentleman stay away from that supermarket. But he was charged with aggravated assault. He was charged with robbery. That man's life could have been over beyond where it was, and the only reason he was able to beat that case is because Hardy Williams hired me and then assigned me to represent that guy pro bono. So yes, you're absolutely right. Keep talking, Malik.
So remember that the jeweler put the jewel in place, and now it's shining. I mean, if you think about all the lives that you touched through the Nat Turner Law School, where you may never see the face that you know what, you gave me the advice where, let's just say I make sure that I come to a full stop and put my turn signal on so I don't get stopped by a cop that already got a grudge against black people, where I get out the car and say, I apologize, I was just trying to get home, and now I got 3, 6, 7 bullet shots in my chest because this was a traffic stop.
And Malik, we got about 20 seconds left.
And what I'll say is, I'm going to close with this. That woman that was a 26-year veteran, you and I both know that was no accident. You did that on purpose because you made a quote-unquote sound taser. But we both know one feels like a toy, one feels like a gun. You can't. There's no way you can say both of them feel the same. And like you said, there's no accidents in the law, because if I accidentally shoot a cop, they ain't gonna say, oh, well, he didn't mean it. Like you said, I'm getting manslaughter. It was either malicious, I intended to do it, or even if I tripped, fell down the stairs, and pulled the trigger and shot a cop through the door, I'm going to jail. I thank you.
Malik,
have a great day.
We got to run. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you listening, appreciate you calling. And folks, we're going to get to everybody, but we got a break. And before that break, we need to inform you of the following. WURD Radio, in partnership with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independent Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp, have teamed up to launch Go to Know. Go to Know is a new public health campaign to reduce colorectal cancer in the black community. That's important, folks. Request your free, I say it free, easy at-home colorectal cancer screening test called a FIT kit. The FIT kit is designed to provide early detection of colorectal cancer. The FIT test doesn't require any fasting or any colon cleanses, and it can be done in a matter of minutes. Most important, you'll learn how to make sure you and your entire family can stay well and live a very long, healthy life. Go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner or call 877-422-2030. That's 877-422-2030 to learn how you can get your free at-home FIT kit screening test. We'll be right back. WURD 96.1 FM.
A Part of Me boutique, located 3834 Lancaster Avenue, sells men's and women's clothing, shoes, and beautiful accessories. Items can be ordered if not in the store. Check out our lovely one-of-a-kind chairs with reupholstered African fabric. A Part of Me is open Wednesday through Saturday from 11:30 to 6 p.m. You can expect friendly, professional service and unique finds. A Part of Me boutique, located 3834 Lancaster Avenue, sells men's and women's clothing, shoes, and beautiful accessories. Items can be ordered if not in the store. Check out our lovely one-of-a-kind chairs with reupholstered African fabric. A Part of Me is open Wednesday through Saturday from 11:30 to 6 p.m. You can expect friendly, professional service and unique finds.
Listening to the Streets brings together young men to create street-level solutions to gun violence. Participants receive a $240 stipend, and if they attend 8 sessions, they're guaranteed a job offer. Man Up PHL and WURD want to end gun violence. Listening to the Streets is a step. Interested? Call 267-748-7818. That's 267-748-7818. Or email us at info@manupphl.org.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at WURD. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
Yep, what the man just said. Black Talk Media. Folks, you know that I'm doing whatever you want to do today. Whatever you call about, that's what we're going to talk about. It could be anything of a legal nature or otherwise. Therefore, folks, you can call, and when you call, you can talk to us about legal stuff, you can talk about cultural stuff, you can talk about political stuff, you can talk about historical stuff, you can talk about current events. And since I am an attorney, this is Attorney Michael Cord, a.k.a. Michael X, a.k.a. the angriest black man in America. I try to give you all whatever legal advice you need, whether it's criminal law or civil law, family law or administrative law, estates law or real estate law or tax law, parking law, any type of law, we got it all here. And like I said, not just the law stuff, but the cultural stuff, the political stuff, the historical stuff, and the current events. My point, folks, is that we're discussing everything. But for me, the highlight of today's discussion from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m., by the way, big shout out to the real host of this real show called Reality Check. Big shout out to my good friend Charles Ellison. And I thank him and the management for having me here. I just want to say that the big story from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the 90th birthday of the great Senator Hardy Williams. And I talked about him earlier in the show. I actually got choked up because he was. I graduated from law school, hadn't yet passed the bar exam, was trying to raise money to pay for the bar exam, trying to get people to hire me. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew my name. I lived in North Philly. I'm reaching out to everybody throughout the city. Only one person responded to my resume. You guessed it. State Rep and State Senator Hardy Williams. So everything that I am is because of him. And it's not just me he laid the foundation for. It's other folks who have done and are doing great things. And I want to have a few of them speak to you today. And the first one I want to start out with is State Representative Jordan Harris, the former president of the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus. And I don't know what Representative Harris is going to say, but I got to give him a big shout out because one of the main reasons Cheney University is alive today is because State Rep Jordan Harris was the chairman of the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus. And every time my organization, on his Heeding Cheney's Call, reached out to him, he rolled out the red carpet. So without further ado, my very good friend and yours, State Representative Jordan Harris. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, black man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I always tell people, fighting the good fights, winning most of them. So I'm good.
Man, I'm always blessed to talk to the angriest black man in America.
Woo. Woo.
I just love it, and I'm glad to be here to talk with you to celebrate the birthday of icon in Pennsylvania, truly a trailblazer, a friend and mentor, Senator Hardy Williams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you're going to say whatever you want to say, but if there's a story you can tell about Senator Hardy Williams in terms of how he helped you become the man you are today, any one-on-one stories you can tell us about?
Yeah, so I got a couple, and I know you're going to talk to some of my other friends. So I used to work in Senator Anthony Williams' office. I was an intern in his office, and met Senator Hardy Williams, and Senator Hardy was retired at the time. And I used to have the privilege to just like sit and talk with him, and he would come into Tony's office and literally just sit and talk to me for hours. He would call sometimes and ask to get connected to his former LA in Harrisburg, who at the time was working for Tony now, to still get issues done and help for folks in the community, even in his retirement. But if there was one thing that impacted me the most, it was when I was in college. I was
I was a freshman at Millersville University, a predominantly white university, right? And Senator Hardy sent me a letter on legal notepad, because he ain't get down with the computers and all of that. So Senator Hardy literally took a legal notepad and wrote me a letter, and it was like 5-6 pages long. And all it first of all, when I went to the mailbox and I saw it, I was just shocked. I didn't know he was sending me a letter. And then to read the words of one of the most prolific and brilliant political minds of our time, who was also unapologetically black.
That's the thing.
And to read him telling, inspiring me and telling me, as a young person, who's developing and being politically involved and politically active, telling me all of the things that I needed to remember, that I needed to do. And even in my space at Millersville, what I could do to forward an agenda for black and brown people, for black people, for black people, even though I was on the campus of Millersville University. And for him to take the time out to do that really changed my life. And I'm always eternally grateful for all of the conversation, for all of the passion that Senator Hardy had. And a lot of people don't know, even after he retired, man, he was still very active and still very much doing things. And I'll say this, Michael, I was young, right? So I didn't grow up, with him
Great point.
as an elected official.
Yes.
I was 14 when he retired. So when I met him, I was high school student on my way to college, and I got to spend a lot of time with him because he was retired now. So he was really just pouring in to me, and I am a better public servant. I am a better person. I'm a better black man because of the connection, the time, and the energy that I got from Senator Hardy.
While listening to you, and folks who just tuned in, listening to the voice of State Representative Jordan Harris, we are celebrating the 90th birthday of one of the greatest, most unapologetically pro-black state senators in Pennsylvania history, the great Hardy Williams, born April 14, 1931, became an ancestor January 7, 2010. And Representative Harris is talking about some personal interactions. And Rep, when you were telling one story about how Senator Williams would pour info into you, it brought back a case that I completely forgot about. The first time I was in a courtroom as a lawyer, because many people don't know that he was also a great criminal defense attorney. Right. I was sitting second chair right behind him as his assistant, carrying his briefcase, getting him coffee in a death penalty murder case. I'm like, wow, I just graduated a couple weeks ago. I just passed the bar exam a couple days ago, and now I'm sitting in court in City Hall on a death penalty murder case. Like, who does that? Well, people who have access to Hardy Williams, they do that. So, and it's funny because now I do to recently graduating black law students today what he did for me more than 30 years ago. So you're talking about passing it on. That's what it's all about. I'll give you the final word.
Well, brother, Senator Hardy, that's what it was about for him. Like, he was extremely interested in what the next generation looked like.
Yes.
It wasn't just about him. And it's funny because a lot of people only know parts of him. They don't know about how great of a lawyer he was. They don't know about how, he was offered a judgeship if he wouldn't be politically active, and he turned it down. Because, even though it would have been good for him and his family, it would not have been good for black folk. He was always looking out for others, and he imparted into everybody that was around him, his son, his brother. My campaign manager for my first election was his brother, Ali Robinson. That was my campaign manager.
Ali, yes.
You know what I mean? So he made sure that you were surrounded by love and support, but he also made sure that you understood that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, that you had a responsibility. And not a nice to do. And I think sometimes we get that confused. Like when people do good things or do the right thing by black folk, It's like, oh, that's nice of them. No. The Hardy Williams way was that you had a responsibility to black folk. You were not here for yourself, but you were here for the uplifting of black folk. And I will never, ever forget my responsibility to my community, to my people, because of the ancestor, Hardy Williams, who lived and breathed and was the embodiment of what it means to be concerned and to give a damn about black people.
It's funny because you and I are doing what they call in jazz improvisation, what they call in hip-hop freestyle. None of this is scripted. You're just saying what's coming out of you, and I'm saying the very same thing because it's genuine. We feel that for this great man. We got to take a quick commercial break in about a minute, so we're running out of time, but I'll give you the final 30 seconds. Representative Jordan Harris, beyond what you already said, if you want to add something, highlight something, whatever, the microphone is yours for the final 30 seconds.
Happy heavenly birthday to Superman Jack, the baddest man in the land, my friend, my mentor, the ancestor, the legend, the great Senator Hardy Williams. We love you.
Man, all you had to say was Superman Jack, and we could have ended the interview because if you know that, then you know him. State Representative Jordan Harris, thank you very much for spending time with us. We appreciate you taking time to do that, but more important, the great work you did to save Cheney and other things you've done for the Philadelphia community and the entire Pennsylvania community. Thank you very much, sir.
God bless, brother.
All right. And, folks, in about a minute, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from another influential elected official whose career is the result of the great work of none other than, and I do mean none other than, the great Hardy Williams. We're going to take a break in about 30 seconds. We want to have actually two folks, and they're going to talk about their political and biological ties to the great Senator Hardy Williams. Let me just read this one thing from my Tribune article from a couple years ago. Throughout the show, I'm going to be adding stuff, but it goes like this. While in the legislature, he served on the Influential Appropriations Committee as well as the Judiciary Committee, Urban Affairs Committee, Public Health and Welfare Committee, and Local Government Committee. And he chaired the Task Force on Violence as a public health concern. Think about that. People are now talking about violence should be declared a public health concern. He was doing that 40 years ago and more. Folks, got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. WURD 96.1 FM.
Hello, this is Councilmember Isaiah Thomas. I'm calling with important information about COVID-19 vaccines. In the upcoming weeks, all Philadelphians over the age of 16 will be eligible for the vaccination. However, you must register with the city to get vaccinated. Register today at www.phila.gov and fill out the vaccine interest form or email covid@phila.gov. If you can't complete the online form, call 311 to get registered. Your information is confidential, so please get registered today. Thank you.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Attention WURD audience, do you know that you can get help with your PICO energy bill? PICO is here to help you with financial help through various assistance programs, including the PICO CAP program, which provides a monthly credit for eligible low-income customers based on the customer's total household gross income and energy usage. If you are experiencing financial hardship, you may qualify for the PICO CAP program.
And PICO Cares is the customer assistance and referral evaluation service designed to assist special needs, low-income customers who have a temporary personal or financial hardship that prevents the payment of your PICO energy bill. If you have a special needs child or adult in your care, your household may qualify for the CARES program.
Call 1-800-774-7040 today to see if you qualify due to an existing situation or a change in circumstances within your household. Call 1-800-774-7040 today for more information on the PICO CAP or PICO Cares program. PICO, powering our communities.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at WURD. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
That is right. This is Black Talk Media. And in about 30 seconds, we're going to hear from two gentlemen who are going to talk even more about the great Hardy Williams, born April 14, 1931, became an ancestor January 7, 2010. Let me just read a couple more sentences from the article I wrote in the Tribune, April 14, 2018. If folks want to know much more about this great man, go to phillytrib.com, type in CORD, C-O-A-R-D, type in Hardy, H-A-R-D-Y, and you'll see the article from April 14, 2018. One of the things I include in here is the following. Prior to his public service in the Commonwealth's General Assembly, he was an assistant city solicitor, a member of the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus, which he was one of, and this people don't know, one of the founders with the Honorable K. Leroy Irvis. Also, Black Political Forum, which he founded with the renowned John White Sr., Barristers, a group of black attorneys, Blacks Networking for Progress, I remember that group, Black Family Services, African American Delaware Port Corporation, Lincoln University Board of Trustees, 8th District AIDS Task Force, Crisis Intervention, Pennsylvania Task Force on Job Creation, and Urban Economics Strategies Task Force. There's so much I want to share with you, but let's get to folks who knew him, in fact, one better than almost anybody. Let's get to the Honorable State Senator Anthony Williams and Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. Let me start off with Senator Williams. Sir, how are you today?
I'm well. Well, actually, Anthony Hardy Williams.
Absolutely. And you know, you always make sure people remember that, and folks who didn't know now, but they all probably knew anyway. Yeah. Let me also say good morning, because it's just about 11 o'clock now, to my good friend Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. What about yourself?
Doing well, and we're going to call you the honorary Kenyatta Hardy Johnson. In fact, everybody is Hardy today in light of this great man. Let's do this. Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, tell us a little bit about your father that we probably don't know. We know the public stuff, but what can you share with us so that folks who didn't know about his great impact in the community, we will know as a result? Senator Williams, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, so there's two things I want to do. One, Michael Cord, I've known you for a long time, and I want to thank you for this tribute to my dad, not simply because he's my father, but because the continuity of our history is always chopped up, and we don't realize how we got to A versus B. Yes. And he happens to be my dad, but he is a significant person in the history of not just Black independent politics, but politically, nationally as it's defined. Moving against machines and parties. Yes. Speaking truth to power. Those are all parts of him. But that story, as you know, is oral in our community most of the time, not written. And you are an extraordinary keeper of the history of our people. My father's a part of that, and you always do well by him and well by his family, and certainly me as a friend. And there's countless other people who are listening who won't be able to call in today who love you, Michael, because they know Michael as Michael, not Michael Cord. They know Michael when he was standing on the corner.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
We got this crazy guy who wanted to go to court with him. So we thank you, Michael. I just want to say on behalf of all of us who really appreciate what you're doing. And
let me say this before you continue. You always tell me that, and you say it with such sincerity, and I know it's genuine. So I appreciate you saying it, but also saying it with such sincerity. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I got to, because you do it such effectively, and you do it in your work. I mean, the people you hear from today have their own stories to tell with regard to my father. They're all real, all genuine, but they're all about impacting a community that has not been treated fairly since they land on the shores of this country. Somehow, this poor boy from West Philadelphia understood it and, got to work doing something about it. I don't really know, as you get older, as I get older, I appreciate the hurdles he had to, climb over just to get to, fair landing. I mean, just to become a lawyer, just to become noticed in terms of his political career, but let alone to fight for a community that doesn't always understand the fight. And certainly that was true then, true now. So I have to say that for the record. But for me, you know, I do have the benefit of him being my dad. But one of the things I'll tell you, ironically, I'm jealous of Jordan, Kenyatta,
okay,
Lynette.
Yes,
I go down
yes,
the list
yes.
of all of his children, if you
love
will,
it.
that were not biological.
I love
You
it.
know, he loved you all. He didn't just like mentor. He loved each one of you all and cared sincerely. And I'll tell you, as his biological son, on occasion when I was younger, I'm like, I used to resent it. Because I'm like,
That's honest. That's keeping it real. Yes.
yeah, he's my dad, right? And it's still, now I really appreciate it, and I, you know, get the privilege of helping people like he did. But that's one
And speaking
story.
of that, Senator, let me just ask you this: how can you tell me? Because beyond him being a great man, why did he hire me? He didn't know me. It wasn't patronage. It wasn't a political hookup. It was just a kid from outside the district. Can you tell the public why he hired me? Why he hired any black kid who didn't even live in this district and he didn't get any political benefit for it?
Yeah, because he always saw himself in so many people. Now, be very clear, Michael. If you weren't genuine and weren't about, you know, a purpose and a point to uplift your community, you know, he'd have been polite, but he wouldn't have engaged. Okay?
I got you.
So
I
he
got
didn't do it for anybody who's black. You had to have the perspective.
Great point.
He saw in so many people, especially, frankly, that came from lesser than, didn't have silver spoon, proverbial silver spoon in your mouth. He saw in them so much of him, how he had to fight. And so his obligation from his perspective was to do for others which was not done for him. And that's give them some advantage through life experience and information that translates to whatever they're doing to empower them and then pass it forward to other people. So that's, I'm sure that's why he saw you.
Yes, please continue. The microphone is yours.
So, I mean, in terms of person, and Kenyatta's going to jump on, and I want y'all to know this. Kenyatta, Jordan, I mean, some people I mentioned, Alan Fatt, I mean, there's Tommy Reed, there's a bunch of people who are part of my non-biological family, but they're my family. This is not just politics to us. This is a way of life, if you will. And that is, you know, fighting for people and their rights when they're not informed. Politics just happens to be one lane. He would tell me that all the time. It's just one lane. But the personal story is about character. So when people come visit me, well, how can you help me get elected? Because you help other people get elected. I get that all the time. And I say, you know, don't approach this as I'm going to mentor you about politics, because I'm not. Kenyatta will tell you that one of the things I talked to him was about what's your credit like? And he's like, what's my credit like, right? You know, what's your personal life? I mean, the things that we don't get information on are the foundations of who we become. And politics does not be one of them. And my father was big on character, and I'll never forget this. I lied to him about something, and I know some of y'all doing a side-eye chuckling because I'm in politics. This was before I was in politics. I lied about something, right? And it was a dumb lie. It was a bad lie. And I'll never forget. He said, well, if you believe it, all right, I guess I'll believe it. But if you believe that story, you have a lot of trouble in life. He said, the worst person to BS is yourself. So if you can look in the mirror and you can carry the weight of that, that's fine. But a defective character, my friend, tells you you're going to be limited in your ability to get through life. So your word is your bond, and how you carry yourself as a man, not politician, not as a lawyer, not as a doctor, but as a man, means more to black people than anything in the world. I'll never forget that story.
Wow, that's a great story, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. When I say you, those just tuned in, listen to the voice of Senator Anthony Hardy Williams. We already heard from Representative Jordan Hardy Harris, and now we're going to go to Councilman Kenyatta Hardy Johnson. Councilman, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. About yourself?
I'm doing well, and for those who are watching this on social media, on YouTube or Facebook, they can see behind me a beautiful award, and the award is exceptionally beautiful because it has an image of a man holding a briefcase right next to it, and that's from State Representative Kenyatta Johnson, Community Justice Award presented to Michael Cord. I don't know how long ago it was, but it's an amazing award. I want to thank you for that. And I want to give you an opportunity to tell your story about the great Senator Hardy Williams. Go ahead, sir. The microphone is yours.
Yeah, well, Mike, first and foremost, I want to thank you for continuing to keep the life and legacy of Senator Anthony Hardy Williams alive and really keeping his legacy alive. And I know each year you have taken time out of your radio show to acknowledge him. And so I just want to say I appreciate that because, you know, some people may look at this from a political standpoint, but I met Hardy Williams when, and Senator Williams will tell you, I really had one foot in the street, like really one foot, and one foot in the University of Pennsylvania. I was getting my master's degree, but I was having a hard transition from really being a corner street guy to, I don't want to say a young professional, but really developing a leader. And so, some people probably don't understand. Like, yes, I'm in an Ivy League university, but I just love being in the neighborhood. I love the corner in which I grew up on. But at the end of the day, if I really wanted to make something of my life, those two paths that I were on were going to pretty much be a path that wouldn't allow me to reach my full potential. And when I met Hardy, we had a conversation about what do I want to do long term, you know, with my life. And I expressed them about getting involved as a public servant in politics. And from that point forward, I began volunteering with him at 3801 Market Street. And this is after he retired as a senator. And so I was pretty much, you know, soaking up all of his knowledge of him being an elected official, not only a state senator, but also a state representative, and really come teaching me the art of politics, because I've also had the opportunity to volunteer with other elected officials. But it's a difference to volunteer with other elected officials and a person to really take time to mentor you. They teach you the art of the deal, give you opportunities to organize on their behalf. And so people probably don't even recognize the role that he had played in putting a significant amount of judges on the judicial bench. And so, like as me and you have been fighting institutional and systematic racism with the first judicial district, our foundation came from being up under Hardy. Learned from him when he picked individuals that he supported to run for judge, right? And him really teaching me about the injustices that are taking place within the first judicial district. And so when you talk about this issue of gun violence, I know you talked about early on how he was talking about gun violence as a public health emergency. I remember coming to his office at 3801 Market Street, and he talked about taking this issue to the United Nations. Now, at that time, right, I'm like, United Nations? I'm just being upfront. At that time, I'm like, United Nations, right? But then it began to dawn on me. He said, Kenyatta, if there were white children dying, being raped, as these black children, right, we would see a different level of response, and we're still dealing with this issue today. And also, like, when you talk about this issue of gun violence, crisis intervention, which is a program that still is going on today, known as Philadelphia Anti-Drug, Anti-Violence Network. That's a program that he started to make sure that when they had gang war in 74, we were able to eliminate the gang violence, and we're still taking on that same type of method of organizing as we address gun violence today. But I'll say this, though, on a personal note, though, in terms of what you've always took and I carry near and dear to me, which is my north, we have to always advocate for our people above politics. Right? That's one of the key things he taught me, but also, even beyond that, Mike, is valuing the loyalty and relationships.
I love it.
It's something that he really, really was very, very big on, and not forgetting where you come from, but most importantly, valuing the people who support you and valuing the people who allowed you to become the person who you are. And those things I keep near and dear to my heart, because I know truly if I had not met Hardy Williams, he had not given me that opportunity to come and volunteer with him at 3801 Market Street during that time, I definitely wouldn't be the first African-American councilperson in the 2nd Councilmanic District. I definitely wouldn't have served as the state representative. It was through Hardy Williams that he introduced me to his son, Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, who I had the opportunity to begin working with in Senator Williams' office for 8 years before I decided to run for state representative. But I ultimately understand clearly, that if I wouldn't have met Hardy, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. He helped develop my character to become who I am. We went down to the 2nd Million Man March together, right? And always teach me the tidbits. I remember I wanted to drive down there, right? And teaching me that, like, why not take the train, right, so you can rest, but also get an opportunity to do some work while you train as a just Friday. And then I took that on with me when I decided to run for state representative, right? But the jewel was in really having the opportunity to rest but also do a little bit of work in the midst of you doing your day-to-day duties. Little tidbits like that I still carry near and dear to myself. But most importantly, you got to loyal. You have to value loyalty with the relationship that you believe are near and dear to you above everything else. And so, again, I thank you for honoring him on this birthday. Happy birthday, Hardy Williams. We love you. We will continue fighting on behalf of the people, because at the end of the day, that's what you would want us to do.
And folks who were just tuning in, you heard the voice of Councilman Kenyatta. We're calling everybody Hardy today. Kenyatta Hardy Johnson telling us some stories, and I love everything he shared, especially right now there's an ongoing battle with racism in the Philadelphia court system. There's an organization, a research center called CURE, C-U-R-E. That's the Center for Urban and Racial Equity. And this think tank, this research center, found racism throughout the court system, and I and Judge Karen Simmons reached out to elected officials locally, and who responded first and who held the public hearing? None other than Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. Why? Because Senator Hardy Williams told him to. That's why he did it. We're getting ready to wrap things up, and let's do this. Councilman, I'll give you the final 30 seconds, and then we'll end things with Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, but I'll give you 30 seconds first, Councilman Johnson.
And I'll say this. Hardy was big on organizing our community, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how I met Jordan Harris. I would not know Jordan Harris if it would not be for Hardy Williams. I met my wife, who was also one of his proteges, if I could use the word proteges for a woman who's in her own right, a strong organizer, who's always fighting, speaking truth on the power. And we have other individuals who also have come up under Hardy Williams. So I recognize this. He always believed in the power of young people. I remember he was supporting Sharice Street against State Representative Oliver. I forgot his last name, but at the end of the day, that's how Hardy was. If he believed in you, right, and you were young, he had no problem stepping out there on your behalf. And that's something that I always recognize that we should pay attention to, because if you believe in the power of young people, you got to speak truth to power, and it can't be politics as usual. I mean, he would shun me like when I first wanted to get involved in politics. I wanted to run around and be around the Democratic Party. He was like, "No, we do independent black politics, unapologetically."
I love it.
And I learned that early on. He said, because these were the very same people that we had who wanted us to ask for permission to run for office. He said, "No, we ain't operating that way. We fighting independently to put people inside office, speaking truth to power." And that's what it's about today. So with that being said, thank you again, and God bless Mike you for honoring the late, great Hardy Williams. God bless.
I love it. And thank you for your wonderful words. We're going to wrap things up with his son, Senator Anthony Hardy Williams. Let me just read a couple more lines from this article. It goes like this. In addition, he was a recipient of the Buffalo Soldiers Award and the District Man of the Decade Award. Moreover, he was an Air Force second lieutenant in the Korean War and earned the Korean Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, and the United Nations Service Ribbon. Furthermore, he became the first, I repeat, the first viable black candidate for mayor when he bucked the city's Democratic machine and ran in 1971 against racist Frank Rizzo. He ignored the Democratic bosses because, in his words, the words of the great Hardy Williams, quote, "I was tired of plantation politics," unquote. That's precisely why Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Asa Moore described Hardy Williams as, quote, "the godfather of black independent politics in Philadelphia," unquote. I'll give the final words to his son, Senator Anthony Hardy Williams. The microphone is yours. And I hope we didn't lose him. I really, really, really hope we didn't lose Senator Hardy Williams.
I apologize. I had muted myself.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. You got a million things to do. But, yeah, the microphone is yours. We want to give you your closing thoughts.
So let me again thank you, for the platform. And for those who are listening, hopefully they'll get out of this, even if they don't know who Hardy Williams is, that activism is a central part of being black in America.
Yes.
And that fighting for our position in this country doesn't come without sacrifice. a lot of people will talk about my father, and they sort of talk as if it was easy, because he really was charismatic, and he did made a lot of firsts. He was really smart, but to be very clear, I lived in a household where sacrifice was an everyday activity, be it money, be it time, whatever it was, there was a sacrifice to be made, and I learned that early on. But I will say this, that in the midst of learning that, what I did appreciate was the content of what I became as a man because of my father. And
Yes,
I'm hoping that there's a young person on this phone, because understand something, this is generational conversations. I want to shout out to a few of them who are on this listening today. But understand, we are, I'll shout out to Kenyatta, to Jordan. Jordan's in his 30s. Joanne McClinton, she's in her 30s, a young black woman who's leading the House of Representatives. These are all people that in some shape, way, and form he's been connected with and continues to relate with, even though he's not on this earth. I got a shout out to, Lynette Brown.
In fact, we're going to have her on after the commercial break in about 5 minutes. So go ahead, please continue.
Sims, Barbara Chavou, Lana Walker, my sister, Tommy Reed. These are all people that, loved us, supported him, and have created a platform of change within this city that will not stop. Matter of fact, it's growing. It's kind of ironic to see where I sit in life, and I get a little bit more emotional about these things. But, as tough as it is, and it's tough, with the level of violence and, frankly, plantation politics has not removed itself from Philadelphia. Those elements are there. But regardless of that, there is a well of youth. Regina Young, who just got elected to state rep, Darisha Parker. There's change coming because these people remember the history from which they came and carry it with them every single day. And Michael, you are just a marvelous man, and we really do love you and appreciate all the work that you continue to do on behalf of our folks. And we thank you for this moment of reflection about my father, who's 90 years old today. And by the way, another name, I want y'all, Freedom Jones. Don't forget that one.
Give us that again. Give it 10 seconds. Explain what that's about. That's a new one to me.
Well, Freedom Jones, all these names he thought of. I don't even know how to help him. But, Jones is a legacy name with black folks, and there's a whole history with that.
Yes.
Connecting with freedom was a play on the fact that a lot of these people were enslaved, but the fact that they found freedom. So the power of freedom combined with Jones was, in spite of, I'm winning.
Amazing. Freedom Jones and Superman Black. Let's just call him one of the greatest independent politicians. No, not politician, elected officials, public servants in Pennsylvania Commonwealth history. I want to thank Representative Jordan Hardy Harris. I want to thank Councilman Kenyatta Hardy Johnson. I certainly want to thank especially his son, Senator Anthony Hardy Williams. Just about a minute, folks. Got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk to a number of folks, including Lynette Brown. But first, a commercial break. WURD 96.1 FM.
WURD is supported by Temple University, which is Philadelphia's public university. At Temple, students are surrounded by change makers who offer meaningful contributions to our city, country, and the world. Our facility, staff, and students are thought leaders who propose solutions for racial disparities, break down barriers to opportunity, champion equal rights, and challenge oppressive ideas. We believe that empowered minds preserve, and every member of the Temple community deserves space to shine. Hey WURD family, have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kit Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
Join WURD Radio for our 6th annual Jackie Robinson Day live broadcast. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. Hosted by Charles Ellison and Andrea Lawful Sanders. In celebration of Jackie Robinson, who revolutionized Major League Baseball by breaking racial barriers, this year we're taking a look at how Robinson and other black athletes have played a pivotal role in advocating for social justice. You don't want to miss it. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. Exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio's special Jackie Robinson Day celebration is brought to you by Pico, Brown's Family ShopRite, and the Family Business Partners, Hers Snack Food, Amoroso's, and Deaton Watson.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
That is correct. This is Black Talk Media. In fact, this is Reality Check with Charles Ellison, but you know Charles is always doing something to promote and uplift black folks. He had to do that specific thing today during this time slot, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Therefore, he was unable to be in two places at once. So thanks to him and thanks to Dee Patel, the Director of Programming and News, yours truly, Attorney Michael Cord, a.k.a. Michael X, a.k.a. the angriest black man in America, is sitting in for Charles. But again, Charles will be back in due course to do what he does so very well here at WURD. Next up, and by the way, folks, we're talking about anything and everything you want to talk about. You want to talk about legal stuff, we'll talk about that. You want to talk about cultural stuff, political stuff, historical stuff, current events, you're welcome to do that. Give us a call. The numbers are 215-634-8065 and 866-361-0900. But because this great man, Hardy Williams, was so important not only to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but to me personally, I had to take out some time during today's show to say happy birthday. He was born April 14, 1931, became an ancestor January 7, 2010. And there's so many people who have such wonderful things to say about him. There's so many people who are who they are today because of him. And because when I spoke earlier, I introduced Senator Anthony Williams as Senator Anthony Williams, instead of correctly calling him Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, everybody now who's an elected official, a public servant, a civic leader, they are going to be called Hardy today. So we heard from Representative Jordan Hardy Harris. We heard from Councilman Kenyatta Hardy Johnson. Now we're about to hear from Lynette Hardy Brown. So, and for those you don't know her, well, you must have been under a rock for a long time in Philly, because Lynette Brown is actually the president of L.M. Brown Management Group, LLC, a strategic consultancy firm based right here in Philadelphia. She has extensive experience in a number of things, including, but not limited to, board governance, organizational development, marketing and communications, and government relations. Now, her bio says that she has a career of more than 40 years, but I think that's a typo because she's only 39 years old. So I don't know how she could have done all that so much. Lynette, how are you today?
I'm fine, Michael. Thank you very much for doing this today. I have to join my little brothers, Kenyatta Johnson and Senator Williams, and saying thank you to you, because you always hold up his name, and I really appreciate that, and the community appreciates that. So we've got to honor our ancestors, and we have to remember our past, so before we can be able to build forward. So thank you so much.
And I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And for those who don't know, tell us your ties to Senator Hardy Williams.
Well, I'm the oldest child, no, not really.
I got you. Okay.
I heard Tony say that he was jealous of us, but my ties really go back to my grandmother. My grandmother and Frances Williams, Hardy's mother, was also a community organizer. They were best friends, and so my mother and Hardy grew up as like sisters and brothers, and so he's always been my Uncle Hardy. And you called me Hardy, and I used to be called Little Hardy, because they actually had
Are you
getting things done. So we have a family tie. My grandmother used to take care of Tony and the kids, and I used to babysit Senator Williams. So I have to be a little bit more than 40 to be able to do that. So, I've been involved in. I've been involved in this movement, in the Hardy Williams movement, from the beginning. I was 13 years old organization, pulling people together. So that list of organizations that you talked about are things that there were issues in our community. So we all had to come together and figure out how to do that. And I bet you if you look at some of those plans that we came up with, they'd be relevant today. I thought this morning when I woke up, I said, you know, I miss you, Uncle Hardy. But more than that, Philadelphia misses him.
Yes.
We've got so many issues in our community, and nobody's really doing anything about it. He would have had an organization started. He would have had legislation done. He would have had the grandmothers and the old people. He would have had black people, white people, Hispanic. He had all together because it wasn't about the color of our skin. It was about our community and what our community needed. So whatever color you were, if you had the heart and mind and commitment, we worked together with you to make change in our community.
And you're so right about the fact that he was about helping people, because I pointed out that the first time I was in court on a criminal case, I was with him. He had a murder case, a death penalty murder case, and the defendant was a white man. And despite the fact that the defendant was a white man, Senator Hardy Williams fought for this white man as if he was a poor black man, because that's the man he was. Before we run out of time, Lynette, if there's anything you want to share with folks who didn't get the pleasure, didn't have the opportunity of meeting him, what would you say if somebody said, hey, Hardy Williams, who is that? And you just had a few seconds to tell a complete stranger about Senator Hardy Williams. What would you say?
I'd say a man that cared and acted on what he cared about. He was a man of action. He was a man of action. He didn't have a lot of words. Sometimes he did, but not a lot of words. But it was always action. It was always organizing, and it always was about the root of it was your community.
Very, very well said. We run out of time. I'm going to do for you what I did to the other folks who were on talking to him. I'll give you the final 30 seconds. If you want to add something, highlight something, the microphone is yours.
Well, what I'd say is we all need to have a little bit of Hardy Williams in us. We all need to think about our community, and we all need to get up, get out, and do something, whether that's vote, whether that's stand on the corner, whether that's, help a neighbor, but we all need to do something for the benefit of our community and our people.
Folks, today you heard from Anthony Hardy. You heard from Jordan Hardy. You heard from Kenyatta Hardy, and now you just heard from Lynette Hardy. When I say that, obviously it's in jest, but it's actually true because they live today the way he would have directed them to. Lynette, thank you very much for spending time with us and for telling us some great stories about this great man. Thank you very much, Lynette.
Thank you, Michael, and keep up the struggle.
Well said, and I'll keep doing just that. Folks, if you want to join in, you might want to talk about Senator Hardy Williams and the fact that it's his 90th birthday, or you might want to talk about legal stuff, or you might want to talk about cultural stuff, or political stuff, or historical stuff, or current events. The microphone is open, folks. You can talk about anything and everything you want to talk about. Now, I had several items lined up to talk about, but that's secondary. What's primary? You and what you want to talk about. I wanted to talk about, people call it reform the police. That's good, but I take it up a notch by calling it transform the police. We'll talk about that later if we have time. Number two, I wanted to talk about Cheney. There's some great things going on at Cheney University. When I say great, I mean great. You better get in line now to get into Cheney, because in a couple weeks, in a couple months, it's going to be standing room only at historic Cheney University. In addition, I'm going to talk to you about what I call vultures and vampires and parasites. Those lawyers who you never see doing anything for the community until they can get a 40% cut of a cop killing case involving the murder of a black man or a black woman or a black child. These lawyers, and I use the term loosely, they are vultures, they are vampires, and they are parasites, because they wait. In fact, they're what I call death merchants. They have turned the murder of black people into a commodity. They make money from that. And I'm not hating on the money part. I'm just saying do a couple things. One, don't just sue for money. Sue to get a consent decree. Sue to get an injunction. You're a lawyer. You know what a consent decree is. That's where the parties come together, sign an agreement, give it to the judge. He signs off. The agreement could say something like, no more escalation. No more pulling out your gun on traffic stops. No more stopping people who have stuff hanging from their rearview mirror. Just specific things you have. And that's why I'm so furious about the lawyers who were involved in the George Floyd case, because that was the case to get all the reforms / transformations we needed. There's never going to be a case stronger than the George Floyd case. Yes, cops are going to kill black people, but they're not going to strangle them to death for 10 minutes with hundreds of cameras around. This was that case to make change. I don't give a damn about the money. The money means nothing except for the lawyers. It's about a dozen lawyers involved in that George Floyd case, about a dozen. And the standard contingency fee is about 40%. So if each of those 12, 13 lawyers get 40%, what's the George Floyd family going to get? And besides, that money still doesn't mean anything because it doesn't come from the cop. It comes from the taxpayers. So again, the money is totally irrelevant. What those lawyers should have done to the city is to say, all right, we'll talk to you about the money later. That's our plan B. That's on the back end. But right now, we want the following reforms. We want the following transformations. And then go through the list, like I said. No more stopping people for minor traffic violations. If you think they did something wrong, take a picture of the car and mail them a ticket, but don't stop them. Also, don't pull out your gun in non-violent situations. Also, no pepper spray and tear gas on protesters. I mean, all those things, you write that up, you meet with the city lawyers, you call it a consent decree, you get a judge to sign it, and now it's the law of the land. Why not do that? The answer is because those lawyers don't give a damn about change. In fact, those lawyers don't want change. They want black people to keep dying at the hands of the cops because they profit from it. They prosper from it. I'm not going to call any names, but you all know who I'm talking about. We're going to go back to the phone lines in about 1 minute, but before we do that, let me do this. Big shout out to my good friends who are hosts of WRD, and for the last week or so, I've been sitting in for them. And one of the things I've been able to do is talk about something called the help list. And the help list is this. When I say the help list, I mean exactly this. There's a document I put together the last 3, 4, 5 years. The short name is the help list. The long name is the Free, Legal, Government, and Private Services Resource List. I'll repeat that. The Free, Legal, Government, and Private Services Resource List. But the short name is the help list. What is that? It's about helping you. For example, there are 20 things on this list. The first on the list is how you can stop bill collectors from harassing you by phone, whether it's your home phone, your cell phone, your work phone, your family's phone, your friend's phone. You can stop bill collectors from harassing you by phone by following the 3 steps on this help list. And check this out. If they violate your rights after you do this, they could wind up having to pay you money. So you are owing them money, but they could wind up having to pay you each time they call you. Number 1 on the list is telephone harassment by bill collectors. Number 2, if you buy a product or or purchase a service, you become a consumer. Do you know that if you didn't get what you paid for, you can actually file suit against those merchants, and there are free lawyers in Pennsylvania that will represent you, consumer protection attorneys? That's number 2 on the list. Number 3, if you got an unemployment compensation problem, the help list can help you. If you've been a victim of racial or religious or sexual discrimination, the help list can help you. But it doesn't stop there. Medicare problems, predatory lending problems, the help list can help you. What if you're a senior and you need a free attorney? The help list can help you. What if you got a child in school and you need an education law specialist? The help list can help you. What if you're disabled and you need some pro bono excellent attorneys? What if you're indigent? Indigent means that you can't afford to hire a lawyer. Well, there's a program here in Philly that can get you one of the top lawyers, some of the top lawyers in Philadelphia, through the Philadelphia Bar Association. These lawyers normally charge anywhere from $500 to $750 an hour, but they have agreed to be in a program where they volunteer at least once, twice, or 3 times a year to represent people free of charge. So you get a $750 an hour attorney for free. That's on the help list. get that list and find out who and how. What if you've been a victim of civil rights violations? The help list can help you. What if you need a lawyer, but you don't know who to contact? We used to have something called the Charles W. Bowser Lawyer Referral Service, but when he passed away in 2010, we could no longer use his name, so now we call it the Black Lawyer Referral Service. That can help you on the help list. What if you got problems with your identification being stolen? Yep, help list. What if you got parking ticket problems? Well, the help list can help you, and I'll help you, because I hate the parking authority, and I'm trying to destroy the parking authority. That's why I sue them in the Court of Common Pleas. That's why I sue them in the Commonwealth Court, and that's why I sue them in the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court. You talk about bureaucratic bullies at their worst. That's the parking authority. So if you need information about how to fight a ticket and crush the parking authority, that's on the help list. What if you got problems with your bank? What if you need a city service but you don't know who to contact? What if you get these telemarketing calls? I'm not talking about bill collectors. I'm talking about people like those auto warranty people trying to sell you stuff that you don't want. The help list can stop that. What if you get junk mail in your mailbox, just cluttering things up? You want to stop that? The help list can help you. What if you got computer problems? And you got a problem with the internet or email, or you got a virus on your computer, or there's a problem with your screen, your monitor, your keyboard, your mouse. Good friend of mine from the hood, North Philly, John Davis. John Davis has something called the John Davis Community Computer Services. He will, free of charge to all WRD listeners, walk you through the process over the phone and resolve your computer problem. So all the stuff I mentioned, each of the 20 items I mentioned, they're all in the help list. How do you get the help list? One of two ways. The easiest way is to email me at michaelcordx@gmail.com. That's Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Cord, C-O-A-R-D, the letter X as in Mike, as in Malcolm X. So once again, michaelcordx@gmail.com, and say, yo, Mike, that help list is helpful. I need it. Or if you don't have access to email, don't worry. Call me at 215-552-8751. 215-552-8751. That's my attack organization, ATAC, attack. That's an acronym for Avenging the Ancestors Coalition. And we have volunteers who will get your message and get back to you. But when you call that attack line, leave your name, your phone number, and an email address if you have it, and we will get that help list to you. Powerful information that can help you navigate through the legal system, the government system, the private services system. It's all here in the help list. Folks, I got a whole bunch I want to talk about. We've got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Keith in South Philly is up first, and then you, the gentleman in that recliner, waiting. We'll get to you. First to break, WURD 96.1 FM.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now there are vaccines, and they are the first step that lets us get back to the things we miss most, like spreading the word without spreading concern, girls tripping instead of solo sipping, and talking smack with a side of mac and cheese. It's okay to have questions about COVID-19 vaccines. Now, get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when COVID-19 vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
That is correct. This is Black Talk Media. This show is called Reality Check with Charles Ellison, but Charles is away doing great work, additional great work for the black community, so he can't be here today, but he will be back in due course to continue doing what he does so very well here at WRD 96.1 FM, WRD 900 AM, and WURDradio.com. Also, big shout out to Dee Patel, the Director of Programming and News, and certainly to the CEO and President of WRD, Sarah Lomax-Reese. And I can't forget our producer extraordinaire, Troy Wilmore, because this show is going very smoothly. You might think it's because Michael Cord is such a great radio show host. Nothing could be further from the truth. Thanks to Troy, we got everything running smoothly, fade in smoothly into commercials, fade out of commercials, bring guests in, bring callers in. Thank you, Troy Wilmore. And by the way, I want to thank him for just playing that track from DMX, a.k.a. Earl Simmons. And by the way, speaking of great music, you know, I like Charles Ellison because he's such an intellectual when it comes to researching issues and broadcasting them to the public. But also, that theme song for Reality Check is Pharoah Monch. And let me give you the G version of that title. It's called Get the Heck Up. And it's by Pharoah Monch. Pharoah Monch is the greatest MC in hip-hop history. Greater than Jay-Z, greater than Nas, greater than Biggie. And don't get me wrong, all those people I just mentioned, they're in the Hip-Hop Hall of Fame. But you talk about the LeBron James / Kobe Bryant / Wilt Chamberlain / Michael Jordan of hip-hop, lyrically, Pharoah Monch. Because when it comes to hip-hop, you're talking about flow and cadence and delivery and breath control and proper use of simile and metaphor and all that stuff. Anyway, big shout out to Charles Ellison for selecting that track from Pharoah Monch, Get the Heck Up. We're going to get to all our calls. We know folks are waiting patiently. I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about, but it's not about me. It's about you all. And before I forget, big shout out to Brenda Tate, who is the scheduler at the office of State Senator Anthony Hardy Williams. She brought all that stuff together regarding those folks being Senator Anthony Hardy Williams and Representative Jordan Harris and Councilman Kenyatta Jones. So big shout out to Brenda Tate. Let's keep things moving. I got a lot of stuff I want to get to, but again, my stuff is secondary. Yours is primary. We got Keith in South Philly. Keith, how are you today?
Very good today, Michael. And yourself, how are you?
No complaints. Fighting the good fight, winning most of them.
As you always have. It's just an honor to know you, to seeing you work in the courtroom. I by itself obligated really to call in today.
And let me stop you right there. Because you're so humble and modest. You just left the first name Keith, and I didn't put it together. Now hearing the voice, I'm like, oh, this is the guy that was responsible for everything working the way it was supposed to work in the criminal justice system here in Philly, CJC / the Stout Justice. And I literally mean that. I mean, from your initial position there to your promotion, and just every time I came through there and saw you in the second floor, you were always running around doing something, helping people. So when I say you help the system move smoothly, I really mean that. I want to say your name, but I don't want to put you all out there like that. Your full name, I just say, Keith, thank you for doing what you did there. And got to tell you, man, I wish you hadn't left. But go ahead, keep talking.
And all of those things, all that I was able to do at the Criminal Justice Center and in the First District, the seed was planted by Hardy Williams.
Amen. I'm so glad you said that. Keep talking.
But I was listening to the senator and the state reps and the councilman, and so much of what they talked about is Hardy's global kind of influence. But personally, really, I feel obligated to share just how he affected me. I mean, and I know that he affected everybody personally. But I was blessed to be on his staff.
Yes.
You talked about carrying a briefcase. I was one of those guys who was entrusted to actually carry his briefcase and go back and forth with him to Harrisburg.
Yes.
The lessons I got, I mean, it was really Hardy Williams University.
And let me ask you this, Keith, before you go in. Did he do to you what I hated when he did it to me? He would stop by, I lived in West Philly near Baltimore Avenue, to pick me up like 4:30, 5 a.m. to go to Harrisburg. I'm like, who gets up at 4:30 to 5 o'clock to go in? I'm like, Senator, I just went to bed. But he would call me and say, Mike, I'm on my way, and I got to jump in the shower, get dressed, wrinkled suit on, but be standing on the corner by the time he arrived. Go ahead. The microphone is yours.
Absolutely. You had to be, and that was, something I appreciate now more than ever.
Yes.
I'm retired now, and as you said, I'm not down there anymore. But when I was in it, when I was on his staff, those were very difficult lessons.
Woo!
Valuable lessons to learn.
Yes. Yes.
You had to be on point. Oh,
Amen. Amen.
There was no dilly-dallying, no, no errors, no mistakes.
Yes, sir.
No,
yes, sir.
You really were challenged to be on point all the time and committed to the fight. And if you weren't, he would summarily just kind of,
yes,
remind you. I'll just put it this way. He will remind you of what you're supposed to be doing.
Perfectly stated.
In a
Perfectly
very
stated.
kind of term. And I know you got a lot of people, but I just wanted to say that, working for him, knowing all of the people that were on staff with him, that's how I got to know you. That's how I got to know Tony.
Yes, yes.
Like you said, Lana, Lynette, Thomas, Tommy Rodriguez. All of these people were so Bubbles. All of these people were so valuable in my education as a black man, and just what what I found I was supposed to be, how I was directed to become, how I was molded and influenced by all of them, that just helped me to do my part right down into the 1st Judicial District and try to do as much as I could down there, to try to just impart any part of the lessons, even when I was on the Honorable Gregory E. Smith's staff.
Yes, great
all of
point.
That stuff
great point.
Was just as a result of Hardy Williams. And I can't thank, thank you so much for this recognition of his birthday and just recognition of him. And when you talked about BNP and all of these things, recognizing the violence in the black community as a health issue, not a crime issue. It was just invaluable stuff. So thanks again, man. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for keeping up the fight.
I got to say, coming from you, a man of your prestige, and I really mean that, that's an honor. Thank you very much for listening to WRD, and thank you very much for calling the show. We appreciate that, and more important, we appreciate you. Those of you out there who want to be like Keith, who want to be like Malik and Jim and Razakhan and Harvey, give us a call. The numbers are 215-634-8065, 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. Let's keep things moving. We got waiting patiently Tyrone in South Philly. Tyrone, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
Mr. Cord, how are you, sir?
Doing very well. No complaints. Fighting the good fights, winning most of them.
Michael, I just want to bring a couple of issues to the forefront here. We always have people call and say black politicians do nothing. You just put that statement to rest.
Woo! Amen.
Okay, now you can say some black politicians, but don't plural. Black politicians do nothing. Obama put in enforce a dissent decree. Donald Trump removed it.
Good point. That's facts. Keep talking.
You understand me, Michael? So we got to be very careful, because words can be very harmful. And the other thing I want to mention, Michael, thank you for this book. My grandkids love it. We did it. They hit it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you very much. All black children and adults ought to get a copy of that.
Michael, they absolutely love reading that book. and they're 7 and 10 years old. So I'm pouring this to them at a young age, let them know that you can do anything that you put your mind to.
Ooh, keep talking.
So, Michael, that's it. I'm not long-winded, Mike. I'm very short. I just like to get to the point. But we got to stop putting each other down about no black politicians do nothing. It's not true. Where'd you get your first break from? A black politician.
Great point. Great point.
So we gotta reach one and teach one. We gotta reach back.
Very well said. Tyrone in South Philly, thank you very much for the call. We appreciate that. We got to take a break in about a minute or two. So let me just say, Abdul Jabar, we're going to get to you. Maurice, we're going to get to you. I know State Senator, my good friend, State Senator Sharif Street Esquire, he's been waiting longer than anybody. And I got to give him credit for his patience. You know, normal people say, hey, I'm a big-time senator. You got to get to me first. He's like, nah, when you get to me, you get to me. You want to hear from the callers first. So I want to thank State Senator Sharif Street Esquire for being so patient. When we come back from our break, we're going to talk to Tyrone, going to talk to Abdul Jabar, and we're going to talk to the senator. I know that folks want to hear me and my comments about what took place regarding the murder/manslaughter of Dante, and people want to know what's going on with the Derek Chauvin trial, and I'm going to explain that in detail shortly after the break. But let me just say this. It'll take me about a minute before we get to our next commercial break, but anytime you talk about the legal system today relative to black people, you got to put it all in context. You got to talk about the history in terms of the laws and black people. And we start in 1619, August 25, 1619, when slavery as we know it began in the British colonies that became America. August 25, 1619, the Virginia colony, that's when slavery as we know it began. That's where the slave codes began. Slave codes are laws. That's the beginning of the legal system relative to black people. Fast forward to 1704. 1704 is when the municipal police departments were born. What do I mean by that? In 1704, in the colony of Carolina, was something called the slave patrols. That's where white men, age 18 and older, were deputized to keep black people down. Black people were enslaved. And they could just run roughshod over all their rights. They could kill them. They were called the slave patrols. That began in 1704 in the colony of Carolina, morphed into the municipal police departments we have today. So 1704 is another date that's part of the complaints I have about the American legal system. Fast forward to 1789, I'm going to talk about the U.S. Constitution and how that's, yes, a racist document. But first, the break. WURD 96.1 FM.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But you know, it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
The Germantown Friends School mission begins with a commitment to community and to the belief that academic achievement is in itself not enough. Inspired by Quaker values, GFS encourages students in preschool through grade 12 to see the world as theirs to experience, to understand, to create, and to change. Learn more about the GFS academic, arts, and athletics programs at their upcoming virtual open house, Friday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Register now at germantownfriends.org/admissions.
Hey, WURD family. Have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kit Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Independent Black Media. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
That's exactly what this is, Black Talk Media. We got folks waiting patiently. Senator Sharif Streif has been waiting the longest. We're going to go to him. We're going to talk to Abdul, and then we're going to talk to Maurice. But when to call people in order, and first I want to give the senator a big shout out. The fact that he's a prominent attorney and an influential legislator, he did not pull rank. He simply said, hey, you'll get to me when you get to me. I'll wait in line. Without further ado, my good friend, Senator Sharif Streif Esquire. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, and I'm going to turn it over to you because your name came up in connection with Senator Hardy Williams. Tell us your story about this great man.
Well, first of all, I knew him almost all my life. He was friends with my dad before I was born. But my professional story is the one I'm going to tell today.
Yes.
I was in my early 20s. I had my long locks like yours at the time, and I was going to challenge the system because I thought that we should be doing better. Our state representative at that time was Representative Oliver, who was a founding member of the Black Caucus and had been there already for over 30 years.
Yes.
And I thought, that his greatest accomplishments were behind him, and we needed to keep looking forward. And so a lot of people privately told me I was right, but said that out of respect for what happened in the past, shouldn't be I shouldn't be challenging it, and I shouldn't be pushing. My father was a newly elected mayor. He hadn't been mayor very long, and he said, I have to stay out of this. I can't support you in that. Most of the elected officials who I've been friends with and whose campaigns I've worked on said, Sharif, I'm going to be with the other guy, right?
Woo.
And they said, no disrespect, I'm going to be with the other guy. But Senator Hardy Williams said, you are doing the right thing. He should be retired. I'm retiring. He said, we need to be promoting the next generation of people, which is why I'm getting out of office, and that he should be doing the same thing. He said he's my contemporary, but we as we need to recognize when it's time for us to move on, and it's time for him to move on. And he didn't just say that to me. I said, great, I'm excited. He said, son, you need a campaign office. I said, I do. He said, this is where your campaign office is going to be. And he gave me office space for a campaign office. He said, you need to raise money. I said, yes. He said, these are people you should call. And he gave me a list of people to call. He said, you don't know how to ask for the money. I said, what do you mean I don't ask for money? He said, you don't know how to make an ask. Sit down and I'm going to show you. And he made calls to people and asked them to give me money and told me and then had me practice how to do it because it's not intuitive. He said, it's not that you're not smart. He said, I know you're an Ivy League lawyer. You went to Penn Law School. So did I. He said, but they don't teach you how to do. He said, they don't teach you how to really get things done in law school. It's a good base, but you need to understand how to really get things done. And I'm going to show you how we really get things done. And he gave me a tutorial on hands-on electoral politics like nothing I've ever seen. And this is coming from a guy whose father had been pretty successful, but he was intentional in his efforts to make sure I knew what to do as a candidate. He was intentional in his efforts to challenge it, and he was willing to say that we can both recognize that a person did something in the past and at the same time recognize that our community is still hurting right now. And he said that I'm supporting you because I think you're going to be better in the next term. He said everybody else is talking about what happened in the last term.
I got you.
He said we have to be talking about what we're going to do going forward. He said, I think you're going to do some things going forward. I'm with you. And he said, now I'm going to probably, he said, we're going to have some fun. I'm probably going to end up upsetting your son, my son and your father. He said, because they're in all such things to do.
Yes,
he said, I don't care about upsetting them. He said, we're going to do this as the right thing, and they'll survive. They'll be fine. They both have done very well for themselves, so they both were fine. But he said, I'm going to help you do this. And he didn't just do that for me. He told me to gather up all the young people that were working with me And he said he wanted to teach them how to do their position. And then he brought a bunch of his squad that were older, and then he created mentorships basically for people working on my campaign. You know, you understand how to do this. This is the person that did it for me. You teach that person. And so what I was just so impressed with was Senator Williams' the intentional nature of how he went about creating the next generation of leadership.
Yes.
He didn't believe it was accidental. And I've tried to do the same thing. I spent a lot of time working with young folks who show up. We keep a lot of interns, and I spent a bunch of time talking to younger people about how they should go about doing what they need to do. And I just was just very impressed with the fact that a lot of elected officials would create space for you to work on their campaigns and do things. But Senator Hardy Williams, in my case, was extremely intentional about helping us get started. And I always point this out to everybody on the Senate floor. They know all the time. They say, "Oh, Sharif, you're a legacy candidate. Your dad probably gave you your first campaign office." I said, "Yes, I am a legacy candidate. And I point to Tony. I said, I'm a legacy candidate because Tony's father gave me my first office, not mine."
I love it. I love it. Let me say this, true. Senator. I love everything you said, but to me, the thing that resounded more than anything was when you talked about how Senator Hardy Williams laid the foundation for the next generation. And the proof of that is you and me right here, right now, talking to each other because the great Senator Hardy Williams invested in us, promoted us, and the rest, as they say, is history. Senator, I know you're busy with a million other things, so I'm going to give you the final 30 seconds, final 60 seconds for any closing statement, anything you want to add, repeat, or highlight that folks should know about Senator Hardy Williams.
The two things that I have memories of Hardy Williams. One, he was intentional about laying the groundwork for the next generation. Two, he never compromised his beliefs.
Yes.
And was always prepared to be results-oriented for the people he represented. And a lot of people say, well, I won't compromise my beliefs. But then in the process, they don't care about being results-oriented. They just want to, while making a statement. And for those, and he understood, he said, the people we represent need help. And so we need to not compromise our beliefs, but we must always be results-oriented in terms of getting to change the people that they need. But those are my three memories of Hardy Williams, my top three. I love the man. He was a great guy. And I'm so honored that I get to, every time I walk on the same floor that he served in.
And you know Senator Hardy Williams has bigger and better plans for you. That's all I'll say about that. That's all I'll say right now. We'll talk more about that later. But I got to thank you, Senator Sharif Street, Esquire, for taking time out. I know you're doing 50 things. You're probably on 50 different Zooms right now doing stuff that you need to do. But I want to thank you for taking time out to celebrate the 90th birthday of the great Senator Hardy Williams, born April 14, 1931, became an ancestor January 7, 2010. Senator Street, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Good words from a good man, and we appreciated him. I thought he was going to have an attitude and be kind of irritated because we had him waiting for so long. But he said, Mike, it's no big deal. I'll wait. There are WRD callers trying to get in. So let them get in, and I'll stand in line until you get to me. So I want to give him a big shout out for being the humble and modest man he is. Let's keep things moving before our commercial break. We want to squeeze in as many folks as we can. We got Abdul Jabar. We got Maurice. Let's first go to Abdul Jabar. How are you today?
Oh, man, I'm elated. I'm blessed now. How you doing, Mike?
Doing very well, fighting the good fights, winning most of them.
And listen, I say that I don't know if you remember me. I haven't called in a while, but
yeah, I remember. Yes, yeah. I'll never forget that name. The first time I was introduced to you and heard that name, I'm like, wow, this is a name never to forget. So yeah, I remember you.
So all the men that called in, I've been blessed to be in their presence and to get their energy and work with some of them on the issues that relate to black people. And, at my age, some of us would suggest that it's time to just sit back, put a beer in your hand, and watch TV. No, I'm getting to work. I'm getting the energy, and I'm blessed by the ancestors that watch over me and inspire me to be around people such as yourself to do the work for our community and to support you in that fashion. So first, I'd like to say salute and happy birthday to the late, great Hardy Williams.
Yes.
And it was beautiful to hear the inspiring stories and how he touched so many lives and how you guys continue, and the Queen continue to
don't
touch
forget that.
lives of black people. And when myself make statements about the state of black excellence in the city of Philadelphia and how there are so many things that we have to do, and that there are powers at work attempting to, shall I say, upset and to contradict those efforts, not to disrespect them, is to let other people know, let's get to work, support, and uplift you guys, because y'all need our support. You're doing the work for us.
Amen.
And lastly, I'd like to say congratulations and thank you for your commitment and dedication to Cheney University. I've been following your efforts and progress, and I applaud you. I would like to know also, lastly, for us, for me and the listeners, and the black men in the community, the black men, suggestions on how to thoroughly put together a police advisory commission in our communities, and I'll hang up on that. Thank you again. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for that call, and I'll answer that quickly because we got to get to my recent north. First of all, I was hating on those lawyers who are called vultures and vampires and parasites, because all they do is to wait till a black person gets killed, come down, get a 40% contingency fee from the family, settle the case. They never go to trial. They don't know what a jury is. They settle the case, get some chump change, and then move on to the next victim. Well, Abdul Jabar, you asked about the Police Advisory Commission. Couple things. One, City Council in one of the past resolutions, it was actually a referendum to the public. Hey, should we have a police advisory commission? And the public said yes. I mean, resounding yes. But the thing I'm doing, I'm part of a 6-member lawyer team. And the 6 lawyers, we call ourselves the social engineers, after what Charles Hamilton Houston said. Charles Hamilton Houston was the dean of civil rights litigation. He taught Thurgood Marshall everything that Thurgood Marshall knew. And Charles Hamilton Houston said that a lawyer, a black lawyer, is either a social engineer or a parasite on society. Many of these lawyers you see today, black ones in particular, are parasites on society. Well, I'm a part of a 6-member legal group here in Philly. We call ourselves the Social Engineers, group of lawyers. We sued the city for the police attacks on protesters and on West Philly residents back in the end of May, early June. We have 237 plaintiffs we're representing. I can't disclose the confidential communications we're having with the city right now since we filed our lawsuit, but I can tell you this. We ain't talking about no money. We'll get to the money eventually because our clients should be compensated for pain and suffering, but one of the key issues in these discussions are directly related to the authority of a citizens police advisory commission. That's all I can say about that. When we finally resolve this case through a settlement, which is either a consent decree or we go to court and have a trial, we'll announce all that, but I can't say too much right now. Let's keep things moving. We got Maurice in North Philly. Maurice, how can we help you? How can you help us?
Yes, I have a statement and I have a question. The statement was, did you receive the email I sent to Eric Nixon the day that you worked for Nick Telefaro and Sister Andrea?
I'm not sure. As you can imagine, I probably get about 100 emails every day when I'm not on the radio. When I'm on the radio, it's probably about 500. So if you sent it, I have it, but court-related stuff is a priority, so I probably got it, but I haven't seen it.
I sent it to Eric Nixon.
Oh, if you sent it to him, then I wouldn't know. I thought you were asking me if I got it.
No, he told me he would make sure you get it, that he want, based on what you had said. You said
well, the answer is he probably gave it to me, but as you can imagine, because that's not my law office staff. So they get it to me when they can, and he might have given it to me immediately, but I'd be lying to you if I tell you I remember.
Okay, well, based on what you said, that you didn't know me and when you didn't know the work that I've done. And I wanted to say from 2012 to 2019, I worked with close to 25,000 kids. I worked in 10 city councilmatic districts. Out of the 10 city councilmatic districts, I had 8 partnerships with city council with my youth group that's deal with economics, sports, and education. I started my own RCO in our community, went down as far. I started the RCO in our community. I started the Community Business Association that we put together. I did work on the behalf of the Honorable Janie Blackwell when I put her sports program together. We brought kids from all across the city to compete in good competition. To knock on wood, we didn't have not one violent incident with all them boys and girls together. I was able to put together in 2019, going into 2020, bring 10 groups together. Each group was responsible for $10,000, $1,000 per scholarship, but the key was they had to go to an HBCU school. That's some of the things that I don't like to say what I do because I just do it, but that's some of the things I do. And across the city, people know me from the sports world, from school, whatever, but these are the things I've done. Now, the question I'd like to ask you is, has Cheney State sports program been reinstated as far as basketball and football?
That's so, first of all, your accomplishments are impressive, so we say kudos. That's the first thing. The second thing is, it's so interesting that you asked about the sports. I can't answer that directly because I'm actually representing, as we speak, one of the basketball players. One of the basketball players reached out to me last week, and I've begun negotiations with the university. But to answer your question directly, no. The school got rid of the academics, and I have to admit, they had a good reason, because when they got rid of the athletics, they were focused on the academics. Cheney was about to be closed. 2 years ago in 2019, people don't know this, but Cheney was about, I'd say, 24 hours from having a sheriff's padlock on all the buildings and shut down. It's so funny because I was arguing to try to build up Cheney before then, and one of my key arguments was that we need our football team. A school is not a real school if you don't have a football team. We need our basketball team. We need all our sports. But I got to tell you, Maurice, when I saw the numbers and how Cheney was bleeding, and the question came down to, do we have an English education building with students in it, or do we have a gymnasium with athletes in it? One had to go. They decided that the athletes would go. So right now, and that was about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we were that close to shutting down. But over the last, I'd say, 12 to 18 months, we've rebounded. For the first time in more than a decade, we finally have a balanced budget and don't owe anybody anything. So I would have to say this. I understood why the university cut sports. I didn't like it, but I understood it. They couldn't afford it. Like I say, either get rid of the books or get rid of the balls. They decided to get rid of the balls. That was a good decision. But now we're doing much better. So based on a basketball player, a bright young man reaching out to me about a week ago, we connected. We're working on a settlement package to submit to the administration, and we should have an answer, I'd guess, within the next 10 to 14 days. So if you call me back in about 2 weeks, I can give you an update. But I'm glad you asked. The answer is no. They don't have athletics now. But hopefully, yes, they will, pending our settlement negotiations. Great question, Maurice. Thank you very much. Very quickly, we got to take a commercial break, but go ahead. The microphone is yours.
Eddie George was signed to Tennessee State University. He was
I saw that.
Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie George is a friend of mine. In 2017, Dr. Emma Chappelle and I was on Wall Street. I met with Morgan State College president, Clark Atlanta College president, Tennessee State College president. In the conversations around economics, they needed money. In 2017, I said, how do you need money when you don't go after the black athlete, you don't go after NFL former players to be coaches? I met with the HBCU schools in the South in 2013, 14, and 15, and lo and behold, what I wrote on paper, who I met with, is taking shape now with Deion Sanders. Ray Lewis want to come to HBCU.
I heard about Ray Lewis the other day. That's great news. All of them, all the names you mentioned.
So all the names coming bring equity, quality, and economics to HBCUs that's well needed. So
let me ask you this before we go. We run out of time. I'm so pleased that these superstar black athletes are going back to HBCUs. If you had to explain in 30 seconds, why do you think it's happening now all of a sudden? I mean, I wish it had happened 5, 10, 20 years ago, but it didn't. I'll take it now. Better late than never. But why do you think this good stuff is happening now and not sooner?
Well, what's going on in the country is one, but Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders made a game changer. And
Great point.
I like what he told the Ray Lawson now. If you ain't doing it from the spirit, you ain't doing it from the community, don't take the job. He said this got to be
very
spirit.
well said. Maurice, we got to run, but thank you for the insight. Thank you for the info. Get back to me in a couple weeks regarding Cheney's basketball. Let's keep things moving. We got Bernard from West Philly, and we're going to get him in before we get to the break. Bernard, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
Hey, Mike, it's always great hearing your voice, and thank you for speaking on Brother Hardy Williams. Happy heavenly birthday to Brother Williams. I was working in the House of Representatives out of Dave Richardson's office, and I was there when Hardy was a state representative. The thing about it is that K. Leroy Irvis, the great K. Leroy Irvis, got elected in 1958 in Pittsburgh and rose all the way to the Speaker of the House. All of these guys followed the path of K. Leroy Irvis, and it was about being dignified and represented with intellect, dignity, and oratorical precision. That was his piece. Lucian did it. Dave Richardson did it. Hardy did it. The other thing is that it's really interesting. I know Anthony Hardy Williams. I was there when he first came from corporate America into the House seat when his father moved up to the Senate seat. And one thing about Sharif, and I know Sharif's father and uncle as well, one thing about Sharif and Anthony Hardy Williams is the fact that they are destined for greatness. By their limit. They're imbued with the spirit of those legislators who understand that you have to be humble and be of service. Humble and be of service. Same thing with Roxanne Jones when she came there. We used to get food for them. She and Louise Brookins with the Welfare Rights Organization. We used to get cots and blankets so they could sleep on the floor. So, and the last thing I'll say is this. I very seldom call. I called this morning because one of the callers attacked my fraternity brother, Ben Crump, because of how he spoke.
I got to tell you, I might not agree with him regarding certain legal strategy, but when I hear people attacking him for his speech pattern, I'm not feeling that. Go ahead, explain your position.
Well, my position is this. I sort of agree with you in reference to Breonna Taylor settlement prior to them coming out with a decision, and I feel the same way about this piece because it's sort of.
And the thing is, and reasonable people can disagree about legal strategy, but not name calling. Keep talking.
Oh no. And so at the end of the day, it is so easy, and I very seldom call. You know, today I called twice. I might not call for another 3 years, but
I hear you.
And Mike, the last time we were together is when 2 years ago you had a piece down at Temple on Gil Scott Heron's birthday, and I came down there because I had gone to school with Gil, like a lot of listeners today. And we talked, and I shared some things with you about Gil. And the thing about people who are being of service, or people who are visionary, and people who want to do things to uplift our community, it is so easy for folks to sit on the sideline, throw bombs at them, denigrate them, find the most picayune nonsense to try to castigate a person. But the true measure I found out, and I've been imbued with this, the true measure of a person is to recognize that people have limitations. They do the best they can. But those who scream and yell all the time, I like to see their track record. So, Mike, thank you so much. Troy, thanks for getting me in. And you brothers have a great day.
Thank you for the call. We appreciate that. Great comments. And it's interesting with people like Bernard, they don't call too often. But when they call, they have something to say. So you want to thank him. In about a minute, we got to go to commercial break. So we don't want to take D right now because then we have to cut D off. And we don't want to cut D off. We want to give D as much time as D needs. So we'll get back to D, or get to D, I should say. This is yours truly, attorney Michael Cord, a.k.a. Michael X, a.k.a. the angriest black man in America. And I'm sitting in for my good friend, Charles Ellison, who does his thing so very well here at WRD, called Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Charles is tied up with doing a bunch of stuff, good stuff, for black folks, so he couldn't be here today, but he'll be back in due course to do what he does so very well. I want to thank Dee Patel, the Director of Programming and News, for having me on. I want to thank our CEO and President, Sarah Lomax Reese, and I can't forget Troy Wilmore, because this show sounds as smooth as it does because he's doing his thing. We come back and talk more about that help list, because I checked my email. Y'all blowing me up. Y'all want to know how to stop bill collectors from harassing you by phone. Y'all want to know how to get free legal representation. Y'all want to know how to get free computer assistance. I'll tell you all that. First to break, WURD 96.1 FM.
Every day brings an opportunity to connect to your community and one another. With AARP, you can connect without ever leaving home. Just click, and you're at a movie watch party with other fans, chatting in an online book club, or drinking a cup of joe with fellow family caregivers. Connections like these remind us the community is more than just where we live. With virtual offerings available here in Philadelphia, you can click to connect at aarp.org/nearyou.
Tune in every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Did You Know Show with host Bryant Green, right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
That's what it is. It's Black Talk Media. In just about 30 seconds or so, you're going to hear from Ali Salahuddin. Ali Salahuddin is a person you should know if you know anything about culture in Philadelphia. And if you know anything about history in Philadelphia, you know anything about politics in Philadelphia. So we're going to try to track him down. And once we track him down, we will have him to talk about the stuff we need to talk about. If you followed the election, I'm sure you did, November, it was primarily because Pennsylvania carried the day for Joe Biden. It was really not so much about Joe Biden as it was an anti-Donald Trump. So Pennsylvania was able to go against Donald Trump. Why? Because groups like the November 3rd Coalition were involved. So we got to get to Ali Salahuddin because he has to run before 12:30. So we got to get him in. We got to hear from him as to what's going on in connection with the November 3rd Coalition. Every Sunday, he's a guest on my show at WURD 96.1 FM. So we're trying to get him together. I'm getting texts from people and calls from people. I can't take the calls. I can't take the texts. But as soon as we have Ali Salahuddin on the line, we'll get to him. And I guess while we're waiting, we'll go to D. D, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
Peace and blessings, brother. This is Sister D or Mama D, okay? And I would like to, first of all, say that I'm hopeful that the Creator will bless Senator Hardy Williams and give him his just rewards for all the work and the love that he shared with the community. I would like to start first by saying that his mother, Mother Frances Williams, is the one that I would like to speak on first because she was a community activist and was known in the community lovingly and affectionately as Mom Williams. So he got all of the love and the interest in the community, honestly, straight from his mother. And I'd also like to share the fact that I was blessed to interact with him as a board member in his program for Black Family Services. That was really a privilege. Everything that I know about him is working for the people, sharing the love for the people, and he was absolutely courageous, which I'm sure you're well aware of, and you know from all the information that you have shared about him. I would also like to say about Lynette Brown So, not only did he view her and treat her as a niece, but he also thought of her, and I know this from interaction with him, as his baby girl. And as you know also, he tutored her, supported her, and loved her, and you see the representation of that in her and others today. So I am just truly delighted that you have taken the time to honor our hero, our courageous brother, our brother who has shown us all how to share love with each other and to do the work, because that's what it's all about doing the work. And each of us, no matter how, in some small way, in some large way, we are able to do some work, because if everyone does a little, a lot will be accomplished. But as I believe you said earlier, if we just sit around and complain about each other, that is certainly non-productive. So I thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share this information, and I'm hopeful and prayerful that all those who have ears to hear, eyes to see, a mind to care, stand up and do some work.
Well, let me just say this to you, Sister D, also known as Mama D. Not only is what you said important in substance, but it's important in form, because you have such a smooth, mellow voice. You should be on the radio. So I just love the way you speak and what you say. Sister D, also known as Mama D, thank you very, very much. And at this point, I'm going to turn over the next several minutes to my good friend, Ali Salahuddin. One of the reasons why the fake orange president is no longer in the real White House is because Pennsylvania carried the day. And the reason why Pennsylvania carried the day is because Philadelphia carried the day. And the reason that Philadelphia carried the day, in large part, are grassroots organizations like the November 3rd Coalition. So without further ado, I'm turning the microphone over to Ali Salahuddin. Ali, the mic is yours.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Doing well. Fighting the good fights, winning most of them.
Good, excellent. Well, first of all, let me just say I'm glad to see that you're honoring Hardy Williams. I didn't really know him, but from what I understand, my wife's father and him were law partners at one point.
Okay.
My father-in-law is Hank McCrary.
Okay.
And Hank and Cecil B. Moore, I think they graduated from Temple Law together.
Wow.
So, I like to see, the honoring of the guys who really paved the way in the legal profession, like Cecil, Hardy, Charles Bowser, and guys like that.
Yes.
So you're doing a real good thing. Today, I just wanted to talk about Juneteenth.
Take your time.
In 2019, Philadelphia hosted the largest Juneteenth celebration in the country.
You got to repeat that, because some people might have thought you misspoke. Repeat that.
No, in 2019, under the auspices of the Philadelphia Juneteenth Coalition, we hosted the largest Juneteenth celebration in the history of the country, from what we understand. We had over 25,000 people that attended, and it was extremely well received.
Yep.
We had it, unlike most parades that are held in the downtown sections of the cities, we held ours in the neighborhood, and it really turned out to be a great event. It was so successful that for the past 2 years we've been working with the city of Philadelphia to make Juneteenth the official home, or make Philadelphia the official home of the Juneteenth celebration, just like New Orleans is the official home of the Mardi Gras.
I like that.
So,
I like that.
Obviously last year we weren't able to do the parade and festival like we did in 2019 because of the COVID. And this year we still won't be able to do the parade, although we will be able to do some things.
Excellent.
So what I just wanted to let the audience know, number one, is that there will be a Juneteenth celebration this year on June 19th. And what we're doing is that we're going back to the roots of Juneteenth, in terms of when Juneteenth was first established in 1865. One of the first things that the people in the various cities did is that they established a location where the annual Juneteenth celebration would be held each year.
Yes.
And they call these locations like Heritage Park,
Yes.
Juneteenth Park, Emancipation Plaza.
I love it. I love it.
That. But every year, they would hold their Juneteenth celebration in that spot. So what we've done in that regard is that we have designated Malcolm X Park as the formal location in Philadelphia for the Juneteenth celebration.
Let me just say this, Ali, very quickly. I love that you're such a student of history because I know that they had these sites, Emancipation Park and other places, when I wrote about it in one of my Tribune columns. And it never struck me that Philadelphia should do the same kind of thing, taking a page out of the Book of the Ancestors. Keep talking.
So anyway, so that's one of the things. So what we're going to do this year, since we can't do the parade and festival, what we're going to do is that we're going to gather at 52nd and Jefferson at 9:30 a.m. on June 19th, and then we're going to have a walk down 52nd Street to Malcolm X Park. Mm-hmm. And at Malcolm X Park, we're going to do a dedication of the park as the official site of the annual Juneteenth celebration. So we'll be decorating the park. We're working with the Mural Arts Department of the City of Philadelphia. We'll probably put up some kind of permanent mural or some kind of permanent display at some point. We won't be able to do it this year, but that's the game plan. So that's the first thing. The second thing that they used to do in the Juneteenth celebrations is that what they would do is that they would highlight the success stories from the previous year. So, they would get up and then they would talk about, well, so-and-so and so-and-so learned how to read since last year.
Wow.
Or such and such and such built a church or built a business. And they would highlight all the success stories in that community. So we're going to be doing the same thing, but our focus is going to be, just like they used to do, our focus is going to be on the children. So what we'll do is that we'll start highlighting success stories among the children, because, every time you read the newspapers, you always see the negative part of what our students and what our children are into, but we need a formal acknowledgement of students and their accomplishments from year to year. So we'll be doing, that'll be a major part of the celebration also. So I got to get off, but I just wanted to share that with you. But over the next few weeks, as I come on to the show, I'll be talking more and more about what we'll be doing on June 19th and how people can get involved. And if anyone wants to learn anything more about what we're doing, they can just go to the website, which is JuneteenthPhilly.com. That's JuneteenthPhilly.com.
Ali, for those who might not have access to the internet and all that, I know the November 3rd Coalition is still doing great work and obviously supporting this Juneteenth initiative. Is there a phone number or an email address?
They can go to 215-247-1545. 215-247-1545. And the email address is info@JuneteenthPhilly.com. info@JuneteenthPhilly.com.
Excellent. Ali, thank you for being patient. Thank you for sharing the information. Thank you for doing all the great work you do in the community. And Ali will be back, as he is every Sunday at about 11:45 a.m. here at WURD. Ali, thank you very much.
Okay, Mike, thank you. Take care.
All right. Those of you who want to get in, we got a few minutes left. You can try to reach us. The numbers are 215-634-8065. Once again, 215-634-8065. And those of you who are checking us out on YouTube or Facebook, you can see me with a cup in my hand. And the cup is Cheney University, class of 1982. I actually graduated that same year, and you heard me at the beginning of the show saying I had several items I wanted to talk about. One includes some great news regarding Cheney. So let me take a sip out of my Cheney University class of 1982 cup. Now that I've done that, I'm going to repeat some of the topics I wanted to get to. I know I'm not going to get through them all, because you all are more important. These topics, don't get me wrong, are important, but calls are more important than my topics. I wanted to talk about transforming the police. I know people often talk about reforming the police, and that's okay, but transforming the police is better. Assuming we have time, I'll talk about what I mean by that. We are celebrating the 90th birthday of Senator Hardy Williams, and we'll talk more about that. I'm going to tell you. In fact, let me do that right now, because that's critically important, and I want folks to be thoroughly aware of what we mean when we celebrate the greatness of somebody like Senator Hardy Williams. Then we're going to get to Rashid in West Philly. But let me go back to the article I wrote a couple years ago, 3 years ago to be exact. I need you all to go to the Philadelphia Tribune's website. That's phillytrib.com, PHILLYTRIB, phillytrib.com. When you get to that website, go to the search and type in CORD, COARD, type in Hardy, HARDY. And once you go there, you'll see an article dated 3 years ago, April 14, 2018. That article includes everything you want to know and need to know about this great man. Let me just read a few lines, then we're going to get to the callers. I read part of the article earlier, and I'm going to continue throughout the show. Here's another part of the article. In 1979, Hardy Williams did something unheard of today. He promoted black political unity by withdrawing from the Democratic primary to voluntarily step aside so Charles Bowser could run without having the black vote split throughout the city. Think about that. You got Hardy Williams, big time. You got Charles Bowser, big time. But Hardy Williams says, okay, Charlie, we both want to be mayor. But if we run Democratic primary, we're going to split the vote. And, you know, I want to be mayor, yeah, but if I have to step back to make sure we have a black mayor or to increase the chances, I'll do that. Hardy Williams did that. Think about that. Powerful, powerful stuff. Let me just read one more thing, then we're going to get to our callers. Before any of Hardy Williams' remarkable political accomplishments, he attended West Philadelphia High School, which was predominantly white in the 1940s when he was there, where he excelled on varsity baseball, excelled on varsity basketball, and excelled on varsity football teams, and then enrolled at historic Cheney University. Later, he transferred to Penn State University, but he started at Cheney University, and then when he went to Penn State University, he starred as a Division I athlete. And check this out. He became the first black member in the school's history. Think it. Division I athlete at Penn State. But he didn't stop there. He also became the team captain and led Penn State basketball to its first tournament championship in 32 years. Think about that. Was a great high school baseball player, high school basketball player, high school football player. He could have gone anywhere. He chose Cheney. Once he got himself situated academically at Cheney, he was like, okay, Penn State wants me. They're a Division I school. Cheney is smaller, Division II. Let me see what I can do at a bigger school. He went there and became the first black member of the school's basketball team. In fact, he was the team captain and led Penn State to its first tournament championship in 32 years. But he wasn't just impressive brawn. He was also impressive brain, having graduated in the top of his class after having been elected president of the school's pre-law society and secretary-treasurer of its athletic association. After graduating from Penn State, he was admitted into the prestigious University of Pennsylvania Law School, where he earned a spot in the Honor Society. What a man. Got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. WURD 96.1 FM.
At Bank of America, we believe in the power of collaboration to create jobs and fuel economic opportunity. That's why we're working with local organizations to help people get the skills they need and build a growing pipeline of talent.
I'm Jim Dever, Bank of America Greater Philadelphia Market President. Our partnership with Philadelphia Youth Network is just one way we're taking action to help more members of our community. What would you like the power to do?
Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great.
This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Livelihood. WURD Radio's new initiative, connecting Black Philadelphians with jobs, entrepreneurship resources, small business development information, and financial literacy tools. Learn more at wordworks.com. That's WURDWORKS.com. And stay tuned to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media.
That's exactly what this is, Black Talk Media. And I got to tell you, folks, I almost panicked. You know, if you see me on WURD TV, by that I mean YouTube and Facebook, you see I have a suit and tie on. And I did that because I had to rush downtown and go to the office and do some stuff this morning and then make sure I was ready at 10 o'clock for the show. And I'm thinking, okay, after the show, I'm good. But I just noticed I got a federal court hearing at 2 o'clock today. I'm flowing with my WID family. I was ready to chill after the show. And if I hadn't just checked my calendar, I would have missed an important federal court proceeding. I'm like shaking right now, nervous about how that could have happened, but it didn't. I'm good. Let's keep things moving. Next up, waiting patiently, is Rashid. Rashid, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
Peace and love. I was thinking about Juneteenth celebration, and then the idea at 5 o'clock on Juneteenth Day, we're calling out for drummers to start playing their drums all over the city.
Yes.
And the idea that Malcolm says we have to have a united front. And hopefully that we can show that front to curb the violence in the community.
I love it. I love it. Keep talking.
All over the city. Anybody who has a drum at 5 o'clock, just start playing.
Let me ask you this, Rashid. Is there a phone number you want to give out or an email if folks want to connect with you? If not, don't worry about it. But if you do, you're welcome to share it.
Well, I'm calling from the African Cultural Arts Farm in the community. 215-476-0680.
Excellent. Go ahead. If there's anything you want to add, give us that date again, give us that time again, and give us that location again. And the phone number, once again.
Well, Juneteenth, the day of Juneteenth. The brother was just on, I don't know what date he said.
Yep. Yeah, that's the 19th, June 19th.
Yeah, June 19th at 5 o'clock, all over the city. If you have a drum, start playing your drum. Let's have a united effort for the community.
I love it. And give that phone number once again.
215-476-0680.
Rashid, thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening, but more important, thank you for calling in and doing what you do at the African Cultural Arts Forum. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to keep things moving before we get out of here in about 10 minutes. Next up, waiting patiently, is Brenda in South Philly. Brenda, how can we help you, or how can you help us?
Hey, Mike.
Good hearing from you.
I'm glad that you paid tribute to Hardy Williams. Please, when you get a chance, you must tell that story. I so loved it. And two, I'm wondering, you said Hardy Williams gave you that first case. How did you know how to defend that gentleman? What was your strategy?
I got to be honest. All I knew was how to hand Hardy Williams a file and carry his briefcase. I had just passed the bar exam, so Hardy Williams represented the guy. It's amazing. This had to be 30-something years ago, longer than that. I remember the defendant's name, a white guy named Robert Chase. It was in courtroom 603 in front of Judge Sabo in City Hall. And I was pretty much just like an assistant or intern. I was what we lawyers call second chair. So while Senator Williams was sitting in the lead chair at the desk, and the defendant next to him, I was sitting in a chair behind them. So I was simply learning stuff. I didn't have my first case until maybe about a year after I passed the bar exam, because all I knew was the theory of the law. I didn't know about representing people, but I would make sure I would work with people and sit in chairs behind people like attorney, because people didn't know attorney Hardy Williams. So I can't take the credit for that. I was just there assisting him and doing whatever he told me to do.
Okay. And hey, you know, I'm just curious, why is it that you stuck with criminal defense?
That's a very good question. The answer is, you ask a perfect question. I grew up in North Philly, 20th and York, and in my neighborhood, cops were never our friends. Cops were always like an occupying army coming in to oppress us. I never forget, there was a guy, we were kids, we didn't know any better. We called him Retarded Roger. But now we know you're not supposed to use that word, so now we know he was mentally disabled. Roger must have been about like in his 40s, but he had the mental capacity of like a 5 or 6 year old. So we kids, we would tease him, but we would play with him. Long story short, there was a store, a variety store, a corner store called Cobb's Variety. And it was just a regular North Philly store at 19th and Cumberland. And so the people who owned the store felt sorry for Roger. So they hired Roger, you know, just move boxes around, make him feel important. One day Roger was in there after the store closed, moving boxes around, and the cops roll up 19th Street. And they know the store is closed because now it must be around 6 or 7 o'clock. And the cops kick in the door of the store at 19th and Cumberland and shoot and kill Roger as if he was burglarizing the place. And because we were poor black people in the hood, it never made the news. Nobody ever talked. I'm like, these white cops came in and murdered Roger, and nobody talked about it. And I was a kid at Masterman at the time, and I said, when I become a grown man, I'm going to do something about it. Either I'm going to become a cop, or I'm going to become a politician, or I'm going to become a lawyer. And after Cheney, I decided to become a lawyer. So I decided to do criminal defense to represent people who are victimized by racist law enforcement in Philadelphia, whether because the cops kill us or, and I did this later in my life, I want to be able to prosecute cops who kill people. And I was able to do that successfully in 1999. So long story short, I focused on criminal defense in honor of Roger.
Wow.
And I don't think I ever told that story on the radio before. So, Brenda, you got breaking news. Nobody knows that story. But now you forced me to tell everybody. But I never told that story publicly.
Thank you, Mike. And just keep on fighting for us, okay?
Brenda, thank you for the call. We appreciate that. We're going to keep things moving, folks. We got to be out of here in about 6 minutes, and then we're done. So we can't take any more calls. Let me just see if we have anybody waiting in the wings to get in. No, so Brenda was the last. I can't get to all the stuff I wanted to get to, so let me just repeat the stuff that people are really interested in. I told you all about this help list. And, well, before I forget, read that article about Hardy Williams. Go to phillytrib.com, get to the website. When you get to the search, type in CORD, C-O-A-R-D, and type in Hardy. You'll see an article from April 14, 2018. And that article will tell you everything you need to know about this great man. So I'm going to begin to wrap things up with the last part of the article. It goes like this. His son, State Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, who's an impressive political chip off the old block, told me, quote, these are the words of Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, quote, my father's legacy is complicated, extraordinary, and powerfully personal. His personal shortcomings were played out in public. His marital challenges, occasionally explosive temper, and his stubbornness were some of the issues the public saw and tried to reconcile with the idea of the man who was given such an important platform. Without a doubt, my father will always be remembered most for his extraordinary ability to maintain a personal touch while mentoring countless young people. Now I'm going to get choked up and start crying in a second, so I got to get off the air, because when he talks here about his father mentoring countless young people, that was me, and I'm really getting choked up, so I got to speed through this. Shepherding an independent political era and supporting the creation of a next generation of leaders. Finally, his presence as a friend penetrated every relationship he ever had. His expectations led you to reach for excellence as he served as your loudest cheerleader. That was extremely intimate and powerful. Those are the words of the son, Anthony Hardy Williams, regarding his father, Hardy Williams. I wrapped up the article by writing the following. Hardy Williams became an ancestor on January 7, 2010, but he never really died, though. He actually remains alive every time one black youngster gets a hand up from one black elder simply because they're both black and qualified. Folks, I apologize for that, but read the article. There's a lot of good stuff in it. And before I go, I checked my email during one of the commercial breaks, and folks really, really, really want that help list information. How do you get that help list information? That help list is designed to help you to make sure that you get free legal advice, free government services, free, whatever you need, whether it's from the first item on the help list is how you can stop telephone harassment by bill collectors immediately. I take you through 3 basic steps, and not only can you stop them from harassing you on your cell phone, your work phone, your home phone, your friend's phone, your family phone, not only can you stop them from harassing you by phone, if you follow these steps, you could wind up having them pay you each time they call you, each time they call you. So if you want to know how to stop it, get the help list. What if you are a consumer? You purchased a product, a service, didn't get your money's worth? Hey, I got some free lawyers for you. What if you got an unemployment compensation issue? What if you're a victim of racial, religious, or sexual discrimination? I got some free lawyers for you. What if you got Medicare problems, predatory lending problems? What if you're a senior and you need a free legal assistance? I got that for you. What if you're a parent or a student of what if you're a parent or a parent who has children, or you're a student yourself? If you're a parent who has children and they are students, or if you're a student yourself, there's something called the Education Law Center, a group of attorneys that can and will represent you pro bono. What if you're disabled? I got a free legal group for you. What if you can't afford to pay for legal services and you need some top-notch lawyers? I got them for you. What if you've been a victim of civil rights assaults? What if you need a black lawyer but you don't know what type? I got that for you. What if you got problems, somebody trying to steal your ID? I got that for you. Parking tickets, I got that. Banking complaints, I got that. Telemarketing, I got that. Also, if you got problems with your computer, email, internet, laptop, whatever, I got a friend who heads the John Davis Community Computer Services. He can hook you up. And The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council is up next, and The Source can hook you up. Once again, big shout out to the folks who made it possible for me to be here today, and I want to give an extra special shout out to my good friend Charles Ellison of Reality Check. I'm going to end today's show like I end every show. It goes like this. Think black. I'm out.